Yes, good evening. Welcome back to Football Heritage TV. This is the Spurs review. Sorry we're late. We're trying to get Brian Daigle on, but he's having as many issues with his technical stuff, that shows how technical I am, as Colin Mawani is having in front of goal. And there's a story behind me saying that. We're going to talk about Mawani later because he's the topic of conversation back stream. Lubo, good evening, good evening, good evening. How are we, sir? You well?
Yes, good, all good, thanks. Much happier than I was this time last week off the back of 3 defeats. I think we've had a good week, haven't we?
We have. We've had a lovely week, Lubo. We have, and Spurs have. I think it all goes together. It all goes together. Rain is here, and he's telling us development takes time. Hello, Rain. How are you, sir?
Very good, thank you. I had a good weekend. Much better Saturday than I had for the Fulham game. That was an absolute mare. So all's happy in the Rain household.
Good. That's what we like to hear. And James Flower has stopped fixing things that involve water to be with us for a little bit. How are you, James?
I'm very well, mate. Today was yesterday was fantastic footballing. Today was the Christmas decks out and Christmas movie on and nice. It's bloody cold outside though. We're hanging the lights outside. I don't like doing that bit, but nice.
Yeah, and well, thank you. We can see one of your Christmas decorations. It looks like half of a. I don't know what
Candy
it is.
Canes or Christmas trees and
okay. It's Christmassy in the household. And thank you for asking. I know no one did. I am absolutely fine as well. I know the viewers wanted to know how I am. Thank you. I've had some pizza rolls tonight and some shepherd's pie, so all is good. And got some quality streets to eat throughout the show. Guys, it is much better this week than it was last week. Last week, it genuinely felt like, I don't know, just from the mood of the fan base, like the world was closing in. Like it felt like the world was going to end. Tottenham were going into administration. All our players were absolutely dreadful. And then we've got a really good point about Newcastle, backed it up with a win, a really good win against Brentford. And now all of a sudden our players are the best players in the Premier League and we should be in a title race and yada, yada, yada. It's Tottenham Hotspur, Rule 101. Let me start with you, James. It was a very important week, right? After, I think, as Lubo said, 3 defeats in a row. It was really important with Newcastle away, where everyone said we were going to get slapped. And with Brentford at home, where everyone said this is a must-win game. 4 points out of 6, big week for Spurs, right?
Yeah, massive. I know the performance weren't great away at Newcastle, but there are a few games this season where you think just try and get your points and come back home. And that, for me, is one of those. You know, your Newcastles, your Liverpools, Arsenals, Uniteds. Them for me are get your point or 3 points away. Doesn't matter how you do it, and then get home. So, points basis, you can't complain. A point away from Newcastle isn't bad.
Yeah, I mean, Rain, it was everyone said we were going to get absolutely spanked at Newcastle. Then we get the draw and people were still complaining after the game. Just the nature of being a football fan, right? But we followed it up with what was arguably our best attacking performance of the season. Could we say that yesterday? It was probably arguably the nicest on the eye that we've played this season. I
mean, our most fluid, without a shadow of a doubt. There were a few moves yesterday which were absolutely delightful. There wasn't, stepping on there wasn't a touch and then pass. There wasn't I'm going to take a few moments and look around. There were a few moments where we just went fluidly from one side to the other side and absolutely ripped Brentford apart. It was really, really good. And that type of football, it doesn't matter what opposition you're playing against. If you're fluid, then you'll catch any side out. I mean, against Newcastle, was anybody surprised that we set up defensively away from home, tried to contain it, and then hit back later on? I mean, that's effectively what you do. But yesterday, better. I'm not like this. I'm pretty much like this. There's still things.
No, of course. I mean, look, Lubo, let me come to you. I mean, look, no one's saying that one win and suddenly, oh my God, everything's great. I mean, look, there's years of work to do for me. This isn't This isn't one. There's years and years of work, but it was nice to see a game where, I don't know about you, I didn't feel panicked at any point. It wasn't like I was shitting a brick or I thought like they didn't have chance after chance. How are you feeling about it after yesterday?
Yeah, I thought Spurs controlled the game. It's a shame we sort of eased off a little bit second half. There wasn't the intensity that there was first half. I thought we moved the ball first half and moved the ball much quicker. We were more direct. I mean, the move for the first goal was excellent. You know, lovely ball from Porro, lovely run from Xavi, and Richie at the back post. And it was sort of a bit Ange-esque, wasn't it? That goal, to be honest.
No.
Except it was Richarlison coming in at the back post and not Johnson. But
no, our centre halves were in the centre back area when we scored that goal, so it was nothing Ange-like. But I get what you mean. Every time we go forward now, people go, "It's like Ange."
Yeah. Second goal. It's interesting listening to the interview with Xavi Simons. He was saying that he was thinking of Mickey's run in the Champions League when he said that was his inspiration, just to drive on and keep going. And we've been privileged to see 2 goals like this already, and we're beginning of December. You know, a bit like Sonny scored 2 a few years ago. We've had Mickey and now we've had Xavi. They're smashing goal yesterday, and I thought he made the difference at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And what we want players like Simmons to be game changers, and yesterday he was.
Yeah.
So no, well pleased. You know, we had to get back on track. I mean, Arsenal was appalling. PSG was really heartening, even though we lost 5-3, and that was really down to a mad 12-minute spell where we let 4 goals in. A lot of the football on that in Paris was much better. And then Fulham was just the start was just horrendous. So it was important to get back on track. I think Newcastle Tuesday, I thought was great. I thought, you know, not great in terms of performance. The performance wasn't that good. You know, we gave away the ball a lot, but they were resilient and they came back twice in the last 25 minutes. You know, to pick yourself up after that appalling refereeing decision, VAR decision. I've no idea what Paul Tierney, he must have been on drugs, seriously. to give that decision.
Yeah.
Oh, you might as well give 5 penalties every single game if you're going to give that.
It was poor. It was poor. But we came back. We came back, right?
It was
world's
easy
longest overhead kick.
Yes. But
it felt like from the moment it hit his boot, it took about a minute to get from his boot to the back of the goal, and I'm surprised it went all the way through. But
I've got to tell you, the elation we felt behind that goal was just magnificent. When that ball went in, that was just probably, I don't know, best feeling for a goal I've had all season. I think it was just superb to go up there and get a point. I thought it was excellent.
Well, do you know how I know we've had a good week, guys? I'm going to come on to you, James, and then we'll just we'll have a free-for-all rather than a round robin. I can tell it's been a good week, James, because there's only 280 people watching. When we were shocking last week, this time we had about 750 people in. It's a real shame. But James, yesterday, a lot of the talk has been about Thomas Frank chopping and changing and a game every 3 days. What did you make of the 11 that he picked yesterday before the game?
Yeah, I was happy, to be fair. I think the only one that you could kind of half question was that Polina didn't start, but I get why he didn't. Now in hindsight, it's a good thing he didn't. But I was happy with that. I said a while ago I'd like to see Archie Gray given a chance. I thought he was actually useless against Newcastle, but I thought he made a good count of himself yesterday. So. And I know there's certain things, obviously, you said about before the game in the team, but I know a lot of people are going to be giving Xavi Simons credit, and fair enough. But I'm sorry, for me, the best man on that pitch yesterday was Kudos. He was absolutely incredible. Every time he got the ball, or Xavi got the ball, his movement off the ball was just as good when he had it. And if it wasn't for somebody like that I think Simmons doesn't have half the space and he couldn't do what he could do. And that for me was quite evident yesterday. I thought that Kudos was fantastic yesterday. And
I think
fair play to Richarlison, he was good as well.
I think his fight, James, as well. He fights. He goes and gets the ball back, doesn't he? If he hasn't got the ball, he goes and gets it, and I absolutely love that about him.
Yeah. And a lot was made yesterday, James. Of and then I'll Rain and Lubo, feel free to jump in. A lot was made about when he did the unnecessary flick over the head yesterday, and then Romero lost his mind at him. But I think it's important that when you get a player like that, they're flary for a reason, and they're going to do things like that, and they're going to get caught, and they're going to, you know, I think it's important that we don't just focus on the negative thing that he did in the game. I agree with you. I thought Kudos was absolutely brilliant yesterday. His work rate, how strong he is. And by the way, I don't know if you agree with me. I think he's got a wonderful delivery. I think he's got a really good delivery on him.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I suppose it depends on what sort of football you like watching. I mean, we've spoken before, but I like to see my teams with wingers that beat players. That's the first thing I would say. If I watch football, describe your style of football. Mine is like wingers that want to beat their man every single time they touch the ball. That for me is what I like seeing.
You must have loved the red era then with Lennon and Bale.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and not just that. Even I believe there was people like Dele Alli that liked to do it, even in the Poch. Not as much, but it was always the flicks, the back heels, the tricks, the amount of times he would do that. He would also lose the ball a lot, but when it did work, it's kind of, you know, it's like what people say about the players that get you off their seat. That's what gets you off your seat, and you're like, oh, here we go, like he's on it today. So for me, I think, yes, you can look at that one moment that he lost the ball. But for me personally, I thought he had a really good game. And I'm really excited to see what he's like when we actually buy two forwards, i.e. a striker and a left winger to play alongside him and Xavi. I think we would then be really, really good team to watch.
Yeah, I agree with you. It feels like of the 4 attacking positions, it feels like we've got 2 of them. And it just feels like the other 2 are almost in hold, if that makes sense. It feels like we're just making do. Rain, do you share that sentiments with James? It's funny because even when I've asked the question to the poll, I've said who was man of the match. Was it Van der Ven? Was it Simmons? Was it Bentancur? But Kudos was really good, right? He was a top player yesterday.
I mean, I fully agree with James that Kudos had an absolutely fantastic game, and I think it goes under the radar because people have already decided he's really good, and so now the bar, their bar is high, and if he doesn't reach, if he doesn't get 2 assists, you know, or and about 5 shots on goal, and people are like, oh, what's he done? But he is a battler, he is a fighter, and we need those. And his delivery is excellent. I'm going to agree with Jack now. I'm going to say something a bit controversial. I'm going to get it off and running because people are not going to agree with me. I think yesterday during the first half, we almost played 4-4-2, the old 4-4-2, with 2 central midfielders, 2 wingers, and Xavi at times was playing so high up that he was like almost right next to Richarlison. We were almost playing, and obviously he played 10. Obviously he dropped back, and in the second half he was playing as a centre mid. He was playing as a third centre mid, and we did that against PSG. People keep your eyes open because again against PSG, for periods of the game we lined up perfect 4-4-2, and do you know what? I'm loving it. I think it absolutely works. And it worked yesterday. It gives players like Kudus, and I'm not sure about Moani yesterday, but it gives a left winger.
We've got a section on Moani. We've got a section on Moani.
It gives a left winger a defined role, and it lets people understand what is going on. Our players needed some form of tactical simplicity so they could just get on with being players. And I think Frank seems to have struck on it. They seem to be ticking now. I'm not saying that we're gonna start flying, but yesterday was the culmination of about a month's worth of 5 minutes here, 10 minutes there, and all of a sudden yesterday against a lesser side, they put 45 minutes together.
Yeah, it's I mean, Lubo, it's interesting, right? Because I'm a firm believer that when a manager joins a club, he's got to try things out. We all asked that last year. We want a manager that tries things. He's tinkered. Certain things have worked. Certain things haven't. And I know it frustrates fans, Lubo, but don't you think the most important thing is that the manager's had this 3-4 months to work out who he can trust, who he can't, what works, what doesn't? Like I think we've seen in the last month or so, he started to, it's either Bentancur or Paulinho. You know, we've started to see he's doing different things now to what he was doing. That's really important, right? And sometimes maybe fans are a bit impatient with that.
I think fans just want to see results. I think at the end of the day, I think people. So I'm not conflicted. I understand how fans are, but they've got to take into account 10 years of bad transfer windows, the players the unbalanced squad that Frank has, with they're being charged high prices to go. So, you know, if you charge a lot of money in a restaurant, you want to have good food. You know, you want
but you know the restaurant you're going to. Like this. I always hear this analogy. I'll start off the banter, Lubo. I hear this analogy all the time about the restaurant, but if I'm going to Tottenham, I know the players that are playing. So if I choose to pay, I don't know, if I choose to pay 100 quid or 20 quid, whatever the ticket price is, that doesn't make me think the players are better because I've chosen to pay 100 quid. If I choose to pay 100 quid for my dinner, I'm not going to Wimpy, am I? Do you know what I mean? I'm not going to go to Wimpy and expect a great meal. I'm going to go to a really good place. So isn't it chicken and egg?
No, but if you will look at a top restaurant, you will say, right, the prices there are generally higher than most other restaurants. And you look at our club and the ticket prices, and you say exactly the same thing. So fans are saying, hang on a sec, we're paying much more money than most other clubs. Why aren't we seeing why aren't we getting entertainment value that correlates with the price that we're paying? And I understand that, but I think the problem is, and everyone's fed up after the last 25 years because the club has been diminished from where we were in the last century. And I think fans want to see success. They love the football that Poch played, particularly in 2015-16 and the following year, the last year at the Lane. And I think people have just seen the whole thing with the new grounds. You know, what do they build a new ground for? Unless they're going to go for,
Agreed.
So for me, that's the situation.
And by the way, if anyone doesn't understand this joke, Wimpy do have a Bender burger thing going on, don't they? And yes, the Wimpy is still a thing. For anyone asking, I'm so sorry if you don't have a Wimpy in your local area. I think I've got 2 or 3 near me. Love a Wimpy burger. It's interesting, right? Because look, James, this is an interesting one, right? Because I can really understand what Lubo's saying. Like, if we pay top dollar, you want to see top players, but at the same time, we also know that we might pay more than Man City to watch football, but we also know that we haven't got the players like Man City. So it's that double-edged sword, isn't it? Of what you're paying, what the squad is, how much are you really expecting until better players come in? Where do you sit with that?
Yeah, I agree with kind of what you're saying. You know the players are there, and you're still choosing to pay. So it's almost like like you said, you're going out for something. Sorry, it's all right going for dinner for Harrods, but if you know they're bringing you McDonald's from around the corner, your decision if you want to keep paying the Harrods prices or just go to McDonald's, that's completely down to you. For me personally, it's all just kind of one of those. I'm so like it is what it is. And unfortunately, the owners are absolutely milking a situation where they know that people love their club. No matter who they put out on the pitch, people are going to pay to go and watch them because once you love your club, you love your club.
Yeah, no, absolutely. By the way, I agree with Lubo. I mean, I'll be honest, it's why I stopped paying a while back, because it wasn't that I was tight. It was like, for me, it's a whole day out to get to Spurs, pay. It's a whole day out. But, and let's be brutally honest, right? I have to say this quietly because my wife's in the other room, even though she can hear everything I'm saying. Let's be fair. When you go to Tottenham, you as a non-season ticket holder, I'm paying what, 70, 80, 90 quid for a ticket. I'm paying what, 15, 20 quid to get there. I'm having a beer, I'm having a burger. By the time that beer has turned into 7, 8 pints with your mates, this turns into 200, 250 quid day. Like, to go to Tottenham Hotspur. So I get it, what Lubo's saying. For that, I want to know that if I'm paying that, I want to go and watch, I want to watch Ginola. I want to watch Robbie King.
Me and my son went to Bournemouth the start of the season. And I think that was about 150 quid in tickets. 3-hour drive each way, plus a train journey once I've done that 3 hours each way into Cheshunt and back. And then you got to think, we don't go very often, so I bought him something from the club shop, your food, your breakfast because you leave so early, and then a snack on the way home. We'll stop into McDonald's on the way home or something because it's now still 8:00. I think I ended up leaving at like 8:00 in the morning and not getting back until something like 8:00 at night. And you think, hold on a minute, I'm 400 quid out of pocket, and I've just seen us get beat by Bournemouth. It's like, well, there has to be, no matter how much I love it and how much you would love to go, there's got to be a limit of something, because it's just silly.
James, if you want a better feeling, just get a YouTube channel, do a watch along, and spend your Saturday afternoon getting abused and called a CUNT. It's liberating. It's absolutely
good,
yeah. It's nice. It's character building.
Yeah.
All words lose meaning after a while. Rain, let's have a little look at yesterday. I want to start with something that's not being talked about. Destiny Udogie as another knock. I don't want to start on a negative, but I don't think we missed him at all. I'll go to positive. I don't think we missed him at all. I thought Spence had a really good game. I actually think Spence is a lot better as a player. I'm sorry for anyone. I think he's a lot better than Destiny. And at what stage are we going to cut our losses? Because I keep hearing how good this kid could be, but he can never string 3 or 4 games together without getting injured. And it's been 2.5 years. What's going on with Destiny? What do you make of him? What is he, just an injury-prone lad or what?
It would appear so. I mean, he's a unit, so it's not like he's slight. I don't think he had injury problems before he came to us. I never remember that. I don't remember that. And Frank is quite clearly trying to manage the team's minutes, the team's game time, to try to manage the fact that we've been injury prone FC for God knows how long, at least 5-6 years, and at least 5-6 years. So Spence did have a better game yesterday. Frank specifically said that they've been working on him getting forwards, and it was noticeable. I'm in the Paxton, right? And it was great yesterday. We had 2 goals at our end. I think Lubo's in the south stand, and the amount of goals that are in the south are at the south stand end, and not at our end, like second half, because they always play coming at us first half. It was an absolute pleasure to get goals in our end for a change. But it was very noticeable with Spence. Quite a few times, he progressed forward, and I'm looking directly at him because I'm down that side, and he kind of stopped, and then you could see there's something ticked, and he went. And Frank says that on the training pitch they've been working on him progressing offensively and getting confidence to do it. It paid dividends yesterday. He got down that side. He caused them a problem, and we really need that. We need that balance on a whip. We need that balance, that dual threat, so that teams can't just do what they did for Bournemouth and James and his lad, which is triple mark Kidduss. Yeah, they have to do something on their right hand side. as well as Kudus. It's especially whilst we have a problem at left wing because, well, we're going to talk about Mwani later.
Yeah, we're going to talk about Mwani later. I can't believe going into the show, I didn't think Mwani was going to be the hot topic, but obviously the 5 minutes backstage has proved me otherwise. I mean, Lubo, I just want to caveat. You know, I love a caveat. It's not that I don't think Destiny Udogie can be good, but this is happening all too often with this boy now. Like we can never seem to get any consistency in performance or fitness from this boy over 2.5 years.
Well, I'll give you some stats.
I'd love a stat. I'd love a Lubo stat. Go on, Lubo.
This season, Destiny's played 15 out of 24.
Right.
Okay, and during his Tottenham career, he's played 81 out of 125, which is about 2/3.
Okay.
So he's playing 15 over 24 is one short of 2/3. So he's playing roughly 65% of all matches.
Are those subs? Are those starts?
Yeah, good question.
So Sarah's been at the club for 3.5 years.
No, with Udogie, are those starts or are they sort of just appearances?
I mean, Sarah's played, if you include yesterday, Sarah's played 125 in around, I don't know how many. 125 in 3.5 years. I'm trying to think. The first year he came, how many he played? Probably 124 out of probably around 170, 180. So he's around the same 3/4.
It just seems strange to me. Like it always feels like he's not available. Like if I'm looking down the year, like I've got his Wikipedia page up here, right? Like last season, he made 36 appearances in all competitions. And how many games did we play in all comps? 60?
60.
Right. So you think out of 60, he's played 36. So he's missed what? Missed nearly half a season. Yeah. This year already, you said what? He's missed 9 out of 9 games so far?
24.
I mean,
and half of his appearances have been by sub this season.
Right. But I'm going to say this. Now, this might piss off some Spurs fans. You know me, guys. I don't mind doing that, right? For me, I think we need to make a decision here at this football club about that position. I think we need to say, right, either Jed Spence is our left back moving forwards, or we go and buy a proper left back like an Anthony Robinson. Because I think for me, this is too up and down on that left-hand side. Now, we're going to come to Mwani later, but the fact that we've not got a settled left back or a settled left winger is a bit of an issue, right? It is for planning. It's an issue, surely.
It's not just the fact that we don't have a settled left back. It's the fact that if we've now got, we went into the season with Spence can play both right and left, so we've got that covered. And now, who's next? Who's next? It's going to be Gray, isn't it? Gray's going to play left back, isn't he? Or no, maybe Davies, but he's not going to progress. He's not going to give us, he's going to be just a solid defensive fullback. He's not going to give us any kind of progression. So that's going to be the real problem. And we don't have any academy or youth players, who could potentially step up in an emergency situation on that left a left back. We all knew it was a problem. That's why they went for Hincapié, and he went, no, go down the road. That's why they went for Hincapié. And it's a problem that needs to be solved. Because
it just feels odd, Wayne.
I'm looking at your Udogie stats, and they're absolutely horrendous.
But do you know what, Rain? I've just looked. Solanke, 48 out of 86. It's not just the left back.
Yeah.
I know it's 48 out of 86. It's just over half now. So.
Yeah. Do you guys? Can I just ask before we move on? We're going to go to the centre halves in Rick. I thought they were both really good. But how much do you guys rate Udogie? Like, I'll tie my flag to the mast, so to speak. I don't think he's great defensively, and I actually think he's really poor going forward. It feels like he's a really good athlete, but how good is he, guys? Like 2.5 years, I'm still watching going, I'm not sure. Am I the only one?
Well, it
He's
has.
so overrated. He is so. To be honest, half of our team are so overrated, and he's just another one of them players for me. But look what he could be. Well, it's been 2.5, 3 years of him being absolutely crap. What are we basing this on? Do you know what I mean? For me personally, I haven't seen enough for him to say he's great at defending. I actually was having this conversation the other day, and someone said to me, "Yeah, but do you remember when we played Arsenal and he stood Saka up? Well, how long ago was that game we played Arsenal where he had one good game? What, 3 years ago?
James,
Like, are we basing his whole career on one game and the next 100 or whatever it is just rubbish? Like, it don't make sense."
James, Conte bought him off his performances in Italy playing as a left wing back, which was the system that Conte was playing. And
yeah, but I'm not buying that. I'm not buying that because the amount of times that he gets played through and he's basically our left winger, ready to cross a ball, and he takes a touch, loses the ball, gets to the byline, loses the ball, beats his man, loses the ball. I'm sorry, these so-called fullbacks or wing backs that we have are useless at defending. They're useless at travelling with the ball, and they're useless at delivering the ball into the box. So he's got 3 key attributes there that he's rubbish at, but yet he's going to play wing back, is he? Based on what?
Well, personally, I'd prefer to go and get Robinson from Fulham or somebody of that level and play.
Yeah, but that's not the conversation, is it? Of course, so would everyone.
And play Spence at right back. That for
No,
me.
but we do keep doing that though, Lubo. We do keep going, yeah, but he's not a fullback, he's a wing back.
He is.
But every time he goes, no, he's not, because every time he actually gets the opportunity to actually go forward, he craps himself and passes it back. He's actually, for me, he's actually best defense. His best performances for me have actually been when he's been defensive, i.e., the one against Saka, the one when he's one-on-one and he's not asked to go forward.
Well,
James, if I hear what you're saying, I'm sorry, Luke, 1 second. If I hear what you're saying, James, look, I kind of agree with you, right? Is for me, whether he's a left back or a left wing back isn't what I'm talking about here. I'm talking about the number of times, like against Newcastle the other day, you see him fed down that left-hand channel, and you're thinking, go on, run at your guy. And he doesn't. And if he does,
there you go.
like, right,
yeah, have a go.
Space, whip the ball in, and he kind of flicks at it. It's like it's not really a fault in him. Now, when I watch other wing-backs play, full-backs, wing-backs, whatever you want to call them, there seems purpose, there seems drive. No, I don't know what it is. I don't know if it is because it's so stop and start for him. I don't know if it's maybe just because he's not as good as people think, but I'm yet to be convinced. I don't care what position you call him, James. I'm just yet to be convinced that this guy's actually a really good fullback, left-sided player. I'm not convinced.
Absolutely, yeah. And like you said there, I think that probably the perfect word you use there is purpose. Whether you rate Porro or not, which is another conversation, you know what his purpose is. He's going to get that ball, deliver it into the box. That's where his bread and butter is. With Udogie, he kind of gets in good positions and does nothing. So for him to be, if he's going to be a wing back, if we want to call him a wing back, a more advanced fullback, surely he should be able to deliver the ball if he's going to be working as this advanced fullback, wing back, whatever. But he can't. Has he got many assists? How many assists has he got since joining the club?
Hardly any. Yeah, hardly any. He can't. Let me ask, Rain. Let me ask you. Let me bring you into this. If Udogie isn't the answer, the other part of my question is, by the way, guys, I was just using Robinson. I love this as a YouTuber. You mention a name and the chat just go mad. Like, I'm just using him as an example. I know he's injured. I'm just using him as the type of player who I really, really like. Top fullback Robinson. Rain, here's my question to you. If Destiny Udogie isn't the answer, I guess the question we have to ask ourselves, is Spence the answer, or is the answer someone that doesn't play for Spurs at the moment?
Oh, that's a very good question. I don't think it's hard.
Not my first time. Not my first time hosting. Thank you.
Yeah, it's it's hard with Udogie. I'm a data guy, right? I want data, and I just don't feel like I've got enough data on Udogie. I just don't. But I'm thinking, when was the last time I remember Udogie crossing the ball? I can't think of Udogie crossing the ball. I remember him doing, lots of little interchanges on that left-hand side. And he used to love doing that with Sonny. And it obviously Ange boy would come inside. I don't really ever remember him crossing the ball. You know,
he gets into positions though, Rain, doesn't he? Like, there's so many times where you're like, yeah, you've made it into the final third, got put your foot through it, and it just feels like he's not. I don't know. There's something missing. I don't know what it is.
I've got a fundamental problem with Spence playing left back, which is a right-footed player. That's my fundamental problem with Spence. I think Spence is a really good footballer, and he understands that fullback role really, really well. And so clearly he's done a good job at left back defensively, and yesterday showed us that Frank's team can do some work with him to get forwards and be more confident to get forwards on the left-hand side. But fundamentally, I don't want a right-footed left back. I just think it's going to limit you unless he can develop his left foot, because it limits the way that you can line up against your guy. Right? You've got your guy, and it's the classic. Does everybody remember a certain player called Kulusevski? Hasn't played for us for a while, but because right, left-footed, when he was playing on the right wing, cutting inside because he doesn't trust his right foot, and everybody in the stands knew it, everybody on the pitch knew it, and it made him really, really hard. It made him really ineffective on that right-hand side, and then he came inside and he's a lot better. He's got a lot more space. I think Spence is going to be limited on that left-hand side. He's good every now and again. He cannot be our starting left back. We need better. We need somebody who's going to be more consistent.
Can I almost play devil's advocate to that? Because I do agree. I do agree. But every winger nowadays wants to cut in. And I actually think that is probably one of the favoured parts for Spence, because naturally we're just going to pick Salah or Saka. They want to cut in onto their left foot. And ideally what they're doing is they're playing it onto the defender's stronger foot. So even though I agree with you attacking wise, every time he gets forward, he has to look to cut in. And I do agree with that. But if you're going to look defensively, you could almost afford to have him there and almost sit next to the defensive two and have Porro further forward, because he's good enough to cover defensively, not obviously attackingly.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's why he's such a good defensive fullback, right? Especially on that left-hand side, because he covers it. I do wonder about the inverted wingers. Everything's cyclical. Kudus is not an inverted winger. I don't think we'll be going and getting an inverted winger for our left-hand side. So setting ourselves up to combat that. And Salah, is a classic inverted winger. He's having a tough time. I'm wondering if there's a bit of zeitgeist going on with inverted wingers. But I do hear what you're saying, and that's why he's so effective. But we need somebody to be able to get forward, don't we? We need somebody to provide that link-up play with whatever left winger we decide to get.
Right, especially if you don't have it. Especially if you haven't got it from if you haven't got it from a left back, that's okay if your left winger is providing it in abundance. But when you don't have it in a left winger and your left fullback isn't providing that as well, when fans say, "Oh my God, Spurs just get the ball out to the right hand side to Kudus," well, yeah, because you know that Kudus will get the delivery over. You know that by hook or crook he will get it into the box, or he will lay it back to Porro, who will get it in the box. On the left-hand side, I don't know who, and Frank said this last week, right? Frank was saying he doesn't know about his left side. He said we've tried a lot there, and that tells me he don't really rate them. So is this one to watch in the market, guys, over the next two windows? Is the left-hand side of our pitch?
Well, I'm confused, because I'm told that Odegaard and Koulibaly are £90 million pound players and elite footballers that are going to come on to be world class. So
we'll get to
I don't know what you guys are thinking. I don't know what you're talking about.
We'll get to Mawani. Look, let's move to something positive. Lubo, I thought Van der Ven and Romero. I thought first half, Mickey gave the ball away a couple of times, but other than that, I thought was really solid, and I thought he had a really good second half. Romero thought had a good game, other than the usual sees red, has to go steaming in for some reason in the middle of the park. But they played well yesterday. I thought it was a good test for them against Thiago. He's a nuisance. Good game from those two, right?
Yeah, listen, he got away and had one shot in 90 minutes. So you've got to turn around and say, as a centre-back pairing, they've done their job.
Yeah.
But they really have. Thiago's a decent player. He was quick. He was fast. You know, he gets about the pitch. But these two players, this is our strongest part of the team by a mile. They are, you know, as a unit, these two are superb. They are absolutely superb, and they did the job again. Romero, it was an important tackle he got booked for because they were on the breakaway there. It was a bit wild. In fact, one or two of the guys behind me were worried that they were checking for a red, but it was only a yellow. I mean, he's on 7 bookings already. We've only had 15 games.
Doesn't surprise me.
This
is the one thing with him, Lubo. When we've talked about this down the years, and this is the one thing for me that stops it. Actually, this is a lie. It's not the one thing for me, but it's one of the things for me that stops him being a world-class defender. It's just this constant need when he's got no need to go and it's always in centre mid. Like, you know, it's always where you're like, it's not near our goal, Christian. You don't need to clatter into people. But he did one against Newcastle. He did one. And you know, when you're thinking
against United, he did Ahmad, didn't he?
Just why does he do it? Is it boredom? Like, why does he do it?
It could be.
Lubo, we used to call it a leveler. Yeah, where they went and they just went boom. Right, I'm just gonna.
Because he is such a good player, and he's our best passer of the ball, Romero. Out of all, I think out of the whole team, I think his passing is excellent. But he has these mind farts, doesn't he? He just goes, loses it.
Other than that, he was very good yesterday, wasn't he? This was one of his games where I went, you wanted it today, because you know my feeling on him. You know my feeling on Romero.
No, and look at him and Tuesday nights. Look what he did Tuesday. He sort of dragged the game back from Newcastle on 2 occasions. Yeah. I mean, superb header. You know, it reminded me a bit of Andy Gray's goal for Everton many years ago with that diving header from Trevor Stevens' cross. It was superb watching it. I mean,
you're showing your age now, talking about
Andy
Gray.
I know. But the goal Tuesday night, the first goal was fabulous.
Yeah.
I mean, lovely ball in from Kudus, and he got in front of Dan Burn with that diving header. It was superb.
Yeah, really good.
So, full marks to Romero and Van der Ven.
But for me, though, I am getting a little bit bored of it. I am, because the whole lunging into players. Look, I actually was like, I like that at the start. You know, when he first joined, I thought, I like that once every so often. But now it's almost like he wants to leave something on purposely every game to kind of be like, I've won that battle today. And to be honest, he could have been sent off for that this weekend. I've seen them given, and then we're put in that position where we're now 10 men versus 11. We then concede a goal. It is one of those moments that everyone's going to sort of turn in on Frank, are going to go another loss, another defeat, and really all because of one stupid moment. So for me, these stupid moments have to stop. They have to stop, because you're going to start costing the team. Isn't he like 2 yellow cards away now from a 2 or 3 game ban? And then he goes into he's just got to stop it. If you're a good footballer and a good defender, you shouldn't need to do that. There's a time and a place where you can leave a little bit in, but he don't leave a little bit in. His first thought is right, I'm getting the man, and then whatever happens. It's like, well, you don't need to do that.
Yeah.
And then our fans say, have you noticed how it's always on Brazilians? I'm like, I don't care about Brazil v Argentina when I'm watching Tottenham. I'll be honest, I don't care that this player he's crunched is Brazilian. That has no effect on me what country someone is born in. I don't care. But
by the way, Sav, can I just answer Mr. Kalina in the chat?
Let me find him. I'm guessing you're talking about Chris.
804. Pierluigi.
804.
804.
It's 8:24. I'm not going all the
I know
way back.
it is.
20
I'm
minutes
20 minutes behind on the.
What did he say?
He says, I'm in the prawn sandwich seats. I don't sit with the commoners. By the way, Chris, I'm about 10 rows in front of you in the same block, paying the same money.
I reckon you're both in the prawn sandwich brigade. Yeah. I reckon you're both a bit.
We're well not. Believe me, we're not in corporate either of us.
Yeah. What I would say about they've clearly got a bromance, haven't they? Romero and Van der Ven. When he went off, they went up and they gave a massive hug to each other. But when Frank brought, and this goes back to that left back discussion, right? When Frank brought Danzo on yesterday, I don't think there was a single Spurs fan who went, not sure about our reserve, not sure about our second string centre back, because we've gone out, we've done our due diligence or hit lucky, and we've got a decent centre back who knows his job, who clearly does the business, and we've got a bit of trust in. It's just a shame that we haven't done that in the other position, and got a player who's not 18, 19. He's been round the block. He's done Premier League minutes. He's done minutes in another league. So when he comes on, we don't go. We go okay, all right. He's just gonna do a solid job.
And he was very good midweek, Rain, right? I thought he was excellent again. I know everyone in the fan base had a meltdown that Van der Ven was rested, as though his hamstrings are really good. But I thought Danso was absolutely fantastic. And I think he's perfect for games like Newcastle away, Everton away, where there's going to be a lot of balls into our box. I think he's perfect for that. What he's not great with is games where we have a lot of the ball and it's at his feet. But in the air, he's a monster and he wants to defend. Like, he's a defender, right? First and foremost, he's a defender.
Yeah. Isn't it a sign as well that Frank is taking him off because he's on a yellow card? So even Frank is thinking, hold on, this guy's a loose cannon. One more tackle, he's a red card, get him off and get Danso on. So I think Frank's probably thinking that he's a master defender, but he's such a loose cannon, even though there's only 2, 3, 10 minutes left, he's got to come off because he's one tackle away from a red.
Yeah. But I mean, I did think, just a quick. We spent a lot of that talking about Romero. I think Mickey he mopped up so much yesterday. There was a lot of. I mean, don't get me wrong. I thought we nullified Brentford. It's funny, isn't it? Our fans suddenly Brentford were crap. I think we made them look poor. I think we dominated the whole thing. But there were a lot of balls where it was like, oh, is that gonna? No, Mickey's mopped it up. And he's having a really good season, isn't he, Mickey Van der Ven? He's developing really nicely into a top centre half.
The cheer that went round the ground when he cleared the ball into the stand, and I don't know whether you called it on telly. It went into the upper tier, right, or into the middle tier on the west side. And it's just like the lesson has been learned. If you're in a bit of strife, just get the ball away from, just sort it out. And the cheer that went around the ground was just immense when he did that. When Mickey did that, absolutely loved it.
Well, let's. I want to ask you guys just to round off the defence. Pedro Porro's come in for a lot of stick this season. I think some of it is warranted. How do we think he played yesterday? Did he put in a better performance, better defensively, better attacking? James, let me start with you. What did you make of Porro?
Yeah, I thought he played well. I think, again, not to sort of go back to Udogie and Spence, but I think if you play Spence over Udogie, it gives him that little bit more freedom to actually push forward. And I feel like when he does push forward, it helps Kudos out because they have to have 2 or 3 men there anyway. So for me, I think he's a bit of an unsung hero when he does go forward. And I think is he still the best attacking fullback in the league? Has he got the most assists or most chances created? He was a few weeks ago, so whether he still is. So he's still creating chances. I think if we had a better player in the box, his numbers would be 5-6 better off, and everyone would be talking about this guy's like not the next Trent, but I'm just trying to compare player. Like people would go, Carr, but Trent does get an assist every other week, or you know,
if we had Voldemar of Newcastle up front, say getting on those crosses instead of.
Well, you'd expect him to have 5 or 6 goals by now, and Porro to have another 5 or 6 assists. So you're then going, you don't mind him being not so good at the back because look how many deliveries he's put in the box and goals we're scoring. So, yeah, I think he's got a bit of a short straw because when Destiny Udogie plays, Frank seems to push Porro further back, and for me, he needs to be further forward than further back because attacking he's so much better attacking than defending.
Yeah, Lubo Porro last night, yesterday.
Much better. Yeah, played well. They all played well yesterday. That was that's what was pleasing. They came out with intent and played with intensity from the first minute, and I think and the crowd were lifted. I thought the crowd were much better. They were very proactive. They got behind the team. It's much better, and the players came out and got it together, and the fans were with them. Much better yesterday.
Yeah. Rain, I know there's not much to say on Porro, but I did think he had a good game yesterday. Rain, you?
Yeah, I mean, look, what are we worried about with Porro? It's not getting forwards and putting the ball across. It's defensively, and I'm trying to remember. Was it Sade?
Yeah.
It's Sade on the
left
on the left hand side. I just don't remember. I don't remember him at all. I don't.
Yeah, agreed.
I'd love to go and do the stats. Somehow we kept him quiet, and I don't know how. And that is it. And I'd love to go back and I'll go and rewatch it. Is it that Kudus and Porro were working so well down that right hand side that we just pushed them back? We pinned them back, and that is what a lot of fans have been asking for. Sade, Sade, I can't remember how to pronounce his name. It works. Offense is the best form of defense. It really is. I thought both Kudus and Porro, I might be wrong, but I thought Kudus and Porro were both a little bit more precise, a little bit more. They were hitting the ball. They were sorting the balls out a lot quicker. So they were like crossing the ball. They were being a lot more one touch rather than two touches. Against Fulham, it was driving me potty. The amount of times the ball came to them, they took a touch. By the time they've taken a touch, the defender's on them. Right, the chance has been lost. What you need to do? The ball comes to you and you're set up, just like Harry Wilson was for his goal when Vicario had his brain fart. Harry Wilson was set up. He just hit it first time. It was a good strike. But if you take a touch in the Premier League, do you know what you give your opponent the chance to come and front up and a moment's gone. I thought yesterday there was a lot more one-touch football from Spurs, a lot more one-touch football, and I think that's why we look so fluid.
Well, look, let's get to the interesting bit, shall we? Let's get to the bit. The only reason Lubo's on here, let's get to the midfield, shall we? So Tottenham yesterday started Rodrigo Bentancur with Archie Gray, and then if we want to say Xavi Simons completes the midfield three, obviously in the number 10. We dominated, right? It worked. As I said, I'll put it out there straight away before I get crucified. As I said, I thought Bentancur was excellent yesterday. I thought Archie Gray was okay. I don't think he did anything wrong. I didn't think he did anything great. I thought he was okay. Or I will say it how Lubo wants me to say it: a step in the right direction for Archie Gray. And Xavi Simons was unplayable. It was more of a hey, I've arrived in the Premier League type game. James, am I being harsh on my midfield? I mean, obviously, you guys can go into detail. I'm just giving you a headline. Am I harsh on that midfield three, what I've just said?
No. I think in fairness, Bentancur gets a lot of unnecessary stick sometimes. Lubo definitely loves to smash Bentancur and then praise Archie Gray, which is crazy because
Yeah. He
there ain't
hates
much.
him because he plays in front of Gray. That's what he
Yeah,
hates.
exactly. Yeah. The one thing I want to praise both Archie Gray and Bentancur is yesterday it was almost like they were active rather than proactive, reactive. Sorry, and by that I mean they didn't need to intercept the ball because they were always on the front foot. They read the game really well. They played on the front foot rather than waiting for them to lose the ball and then kind of reacting from there. So I thought they both did well. I mean, look, Archie Gray is young. I like to judge my players from being on the pitch, not their age. If we're going to judge them by their age, I don't want to see them on the pitch in the first place. So you need to be good enough to be on the pitch if you're on the pitch, not but give him time. No, you're playing for Tottenham Hotspur. I expect a certain quality. Otherwise, we can't moan that we're paying all these price tickets when we got crap on the pitch and then saying, well, we need to give this crap time. So for me personally, look, Archie Gray did okay. He did nothing wrong. Bentancur for me did okay, nothing wrong. Javi Simmons, the thing I liked about Javi Simmons, it was non-stop work ethic. I don't think anyone can criticise the fact he wanted the ball. And I think that's where we've struggled in a lot of our games. A lot of our midfielders, in my opinion, I've been saying they like to hide. When the game's tough, they'll go hide. They'll go missing. They're not bothered about having the ball. Whereas, I mean, look at his goal yesterday, Xavi. He lost the ball and he thought, no, I can't be losing the ball there. I'll win it back. Straight up onto his feet, run back, got the ball, turned, and the space opened up. But it was that first initial, I want the ball back. How do I get this back? What do we do to go into in the right direction? So for me, Gray, 7 out of 10 yesterday. Did absolutely nothing wrong. Did his job. Can't complain. Bentancur the same. And Xavi, it was nice to see him get a start, and I thought he gave a good count of himself.
Yeah, I mean, Rain, before I come to Lubo, I agree with everything James said there, other than I think Bentancur had a much better game than Gray. I thought Bentancur was really good in midfield yesterday. But it was nice to see it. It worked. It was fluid. Some people today saying, oh, it only worked because Brentford didn't want the ball. And I guess we'll see in games moving forward whether or not that's the case. But what did you make of that midfield three?
So it was definitely tidy from Archie. He's a tidy player, right? He's of the three kids, three younger players we've got, he's the tidiest. But he doesn't lose the ball so much compared to Bergval is a live wire, but he's got some bozo moments in him, you're a lot less risky with Archie Gray. Solid but unspectacular. He did a lot of good work down the left hand side. I've got to throw it in. I've got to throw it in, right? I'm not saying it was just, it was just, it was the opponents that they're up against. But it is a different matter when you're up against Caicedo, Enzo, Rice, Zubimendi. They are absolute monsters in central midfield. I can't remember who our centre. I think that it was Bentancur and Paulinho. But our central midfield in both the Chelsea and Arsenal games got absolutely monstered. People were saying, "Oh, it's the worst." The reason is we lost it in midfield. We got completely dominated in both games. We got completely outplayed. And against Brentford yesterday, there wasn't so much of a threat in terms of being matched up in central midfield. So he did a good job. Let's see what happens in other matches.
Can I add one more thing to that? Sorry, Lubo. I'll apologise in advance. It was somebody like Bentancur playing again next to Archie Gray, it's look, I'm not knocking Polina because I think he's probably been our best player this season. But sometimes I think players do a lot of putting out fires and the dirty work, and that goes unnoticed. And for me, that's probably Bentancur's best trait. I feel like he puts out a lot of fires before they become fire, or a lot of sparks before they become a fire. So I feel like when Gray's playing next to somebody like that, it almost gives him the desire to be, look what I'm doing all this work. And he's young and energetic. He might think, right, I'll help you with this. Whereas I think Polina's more of a defensive, right, how do I stop this attack? Whereas I feel that, again, I thought Archie Gray was very good yesterday, but I feel like sometimes Bentancur could maybe lead the right line for him and him kind of kick off of that feedback and go, right, yeah, we've both got a press now. Both work hard together now. And I feel like not Archie Gray only played well because of Bentancur, but I feel like Bentancur set the tone for Archie Gray to play how he played.
Can I just say, before Lubo comes in, James, that is one thing I think that goes so unnoticed by fans. It's something that probably isn't really covered by stats. When we look at all the stats, what I noticed, I think he did it against Newcastle really well as well. Bentancur puts out so many fires. He does. Bentancur stops so many attacks. How many times the ball goes across the edge of our box, Bentancur's there to pick it up. But everyone gets frustrated because of he can't do the things that he's not actually good at, if that makes sense. Like you're asking players to do things they're not good at. I don't listen, by the way, that's not me saying I don't want better. I want, James, you know me, I want better than Gray, Bergvall, Sarr and Bentancur. I don't want any of them starting against Tottenham, but that's what we've got. But I do think that Bentancur gets a lot of stick through not his own fault, if that makes sense. So, Lubo, over to you. The midfield yesterday.
I thought, listen, midfield worked well. I thought it was a good game to bring Gray into.
Agreed.
Bentancur did look after him. He played very well, Bentancur. Simmons made the difference. No, listen, for me, I prefer Polina to Bentancur, and I think Frank seems he's doing a lot of rotating. We're playing 2 games a week. I think he's very aware of the injury situation that we've had at the club. You know, not just this season, but previous seasons. And I think Frank's doing his best to try and rotate as much as possible, keep as many players involved as possible. He played Gray Saturday, played Bergvall before then at PSG and against Newcastle. We brought Gray back in. I expect to see Bergvall in probably with Polina on Tuesday night against Slavia Prague. I do hope he keeps Simmons in. It'd be a mistake if he takes him out the midfield. I think he's got to give Simmons a run now. For me, with Gray, it was a step in the right direction. Kids like Gray and Bergvall can only improve if they get game time. I think they've got to be clever. The way Pep was with Foden, with the games he played him in and the minutes he gave him and the timings of the substitutions with Foden, you know, were all clever and all helped to bring his development through.
Foden was also with class. Like we've got to remember that Foden's also class and Gray and Bergvall are not, right? We've got to surely we've got to factor that in.
No, listen, Foden's well. I'm just talking as a principle of how you bring to a player who is developing. And I think for me, Gray looked very composed on the ball. He doesn't panic. I think Bergvall's further ahead than Gray in his developments.
Can I ask you about that? Can I ask you about that, Lubo? Because you said this the other night as well, and I feel conflicted with this. And people have been talking about this in the chat about Gray v Bergvall. First of all, I think they're very different footballers.
Yes, very different.
It's interesting to me because I think I do think Gray is composed. For me, Gray is just, hopefully this changes over time and I see something different. For me, Gray is just a nothingy type of midfielder at the moment. It's get the ball, give it 5 yards. And that's fine. I've got no problem with that, whatever. But he's weak. I saw a number of times yesterday where when he goes in for the one-on-one tussle, he can't deal with it. Bergvall's not weak, but Bergvall's the opposite to Gray where it comes to the neat tidiness on the football. He gives it away for fun. This is why I didn't want both of them being bought, Lubo. I just felt like only one of them was needed. I didn't feel like we needed to develop both of them. So my question is this: are they getting in each other's way in terms of minutes?
I don't know. I think it depends whether they develop into top professionals who are going to play regularly for Spurs.
Sure.
I think that's the key. I think they've both got different skill sets, and if they both develop together and they do make it and they are top, and they do become established first teamers at Spurs, then again you've got two midfielders with different skill sets, that will help each other. Benson Core's 28, 29, Polinia's 30. We do need. For me, we need to bring in a couple of top midfield players in the summer.
Massively.
Personally, I would get rid of. I'd sell Benson Core. I'd sell Basuma, obviously, and if you can, and I'd sell Sarr.
Say it. I'm with you on this one, Lubo. I'm with you on this one. Sarr for me is. We'll talk about him in a minute. He was dreadful again when he came on. Yes, I think he's been dreadful for ages. Sorry.
So for me. Do I expect Gray to come on? Listen, a lot of players, you don't notice them. They go under the radar. They quietly do their bit. They get the ball, they win it, or they intercept whatever. They pick up the pass and they move it quickly. And Gray moves it quickly. My complaint with Frank when Polinia and Bentancur were playing together at home against the lesser clubs were they didn't move the ball fast enough, and we were getting blocked out. Clubs would drop off, play the low block, and we were hardly getting any shots in. So for me, you bring Gray in for specific games. You bring Bergvall in. I think Bergvall's more ready than Gray at the moment for different types of games. I wouldn't play Gray in midfield against a Liverpool or an Arsenal or a Chelsea, but I would play Bergvall because I think Bergvall has a physicality. And he runs with the ball and he carries the ball. And for me, at the moment, Bergvall is a more important part of the Spurs first team, the squad than Gray is. But these boys will only improve with minutes.
Can I ask you about this? This is an interesting one. I was talking with my uncle today when we were watching some of the football. So the interesting thing is we both agreed. It doesn't mean everyone has to. I don't think Bergvall's a central midfielder. I don't think he's a 6 or an 8. I don't think he's that guy. I genuinely don't think he's a footballer that gets on the ball, and he's not a tackler in midfield. He's not a ball playing. He's a carrier, almost. I know this isn't a position, guys, but almost like a false 10. Like he wants to drive into those areas.
Yeah.
The question that my uncle had for me was, if Xavi Simons continues this form and goes into being the number one playmaker, has to start every game, does that limit Bergvall? Because I wouldn't play Bergvall in a two-man midfield. I don't know about you guys. I definitely wouldn't. I don't think he's anywhere near good enough on the ball to play in a two-man midfield. So what does that mean for Bergvall if Simons really grabs this and becomes the guy?
Frank has called it out. Frank has absolutely called this out. So many of the questions we ask, to be honest, Frank's answered at some point, right?
Sure.
And he's called out Bergvall and his lack of positional discipline, and that's because of his age. That's because he hasn't, that's because he hasn't done the positional development. He's done a lot of sort of just playing football, and when you just play football as a kid, you don't really, you don't play as a centre mid. You don't play as a centre mid. You don't play as a left winger. You play all over the place unless you're highly academised, like I think Archie Gray has been. I think Archie Gray has clearly been in an academy from a very, very young age. And he does exactly what an academy player needs to do, which is why the Skip and Winks likeness is absolutely there in the way that he's tidy. So what Bergvall really needs to learn, coming back to the Spurs Development Club ethos, is he needs to learn what needs to be done for a particular position. I think he is an 8, but he's not currently playing as an 8, and he needs to learn how to play as an 8. and it does require some. You can't just run up.
Do you think he's good? Do you think he's good enough on the ball, Rain? Because I'll be honest, I find him on the ball to be really poor. Like work rate, physicality, driving with it. When he's asked to do the simple thing, and this isn't I'm not going to have that. This is an age thing. These boys have been playing football since the age of 6 or 5 or 4, right? His passing is just really bad. Like it's really sloppy, wayward. Only me personally, I don't see him as a number 8. I just don't. I think we need to buy to coin Sean's phrase. I think we need a monster number 8. I think we need a top midfielder that comes in and runs the game for us.
Yeah, I mean, there's a good reason that Barcelona were going to buy him and put him in their B team to develop him. There's a good reason for that.
Sure.
And that's because that's what he needs, and it's very, very difficult to get that type. I mean, Lubo's absolutely 100% right. You know that what they need is development time, and it's very, very difficult. It's very, very difficult to get that development in the first team because there are expectations of you. Going back to what James said, if you're in the first team, it doesn't matter what that little number is next to your age. It could be 36 and it could be 16. You need to be performing at the required level, and if you're not performing at the required level and quality, then you're 30. Then you're 36 and retired, or you're 16 and you go back in the academy. Do you know what I mean? That's the harshness of the meritocracy that is football. What's the question? What is Bergvall? What's the answer? We don't know.
Fair.
Yeah, I think the question you said there is if Xavi continues to play, what happens to Bergvall? I'm sorry, Spurs fans, but I really don't care. Like, I don't care. And I know that sounds horrible, but I'm a Tottenham Hotspur fan. I'm not a Bergvall fan. So if Xavi is better than Bergvall, Xavi needs to play week in, week out. I don't care that Xavi's 2 years older. I want to see Tottenham win. I want to see Tottenham play better football. I want to see us top of the table. So if we have a player that's better than Bergvall, unfortunately, in my opinion, there's a lot of fans, Lubo. I mean, there's a lot of fans in this club that want to put these players above our current players when they're nowhere near ready. Unfortunately.
Can I add the obvious thing, James, to you? Can I ask you the obvious thing? We're talking as though at the moment, we're talking about just Xavi, but what about when Maddison and Kulu come back as well? If we're going to compare Bergvall to Kulu to Maddison, he obviously he's 19, but I'm bored. I'm like you, James. I'm bored of using age as an excuse. If you're in the Tottenham team, in the Tottenham team, technically he's nowhere near the players that those two are. They've got to come back. You got Xavi, Kulu, Maddison. Hopefully, we buy a proper number 8. I just think a lot of fans that have put him on that pedestal, James.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I agree. I think also, and I'm also on the same boat. We need a proper number 8. But I am also one of these people that think Maddison got hugely criticised last season for getting the ball deep and turning forward and trying to play forward, but having nothing there, or the quality wasn't there to match. So I also wouldn't be against playing Xavi and Maddison together, almost in that 10-8 hybrid, like both of them together. If you had somebody like a Polina playing there that's just not going to leave just in front of the back line, you then have people like Maddison, Kulu, Xavi's that you're like, okay, 3 players there that could win you a game. And I think that our fans sometimes get lost in the whole, oh, but look how good these kids could be. Well, unfortunately, these kids need to get loaned out to a Southampton. Show me at Southampton, then you can come back.
But you know the worrying thing, James? The worrying thing is we have fans like this that truly believe that if he was at Barcelona, he'd start against the lesser teams week in, week out. Now, this either tells me, 1, that Alex is Swedish, or 2,
a Real Madrid fan.
Or 2, a Real Madrid fan, or 3, doesn't realise how good some of these kids are. I mean, Barcelona's midfield options are ridiculously scary, right?
How old is Pedri and Xavi in comparison? How old are they compared to Bergvall?
22, 23 maybe? I don't know.
So
you've got Pedri, Gavi, and De Jong, right? For a start. Then you've got Dani Olmo, right? You've got Fermin Lopez. You've then got the two Fernandez brothers. Like you've got not Kabasi, the other one of Cassano. Like when these Spurs fans say things like this blows my mind. It's not whether Bergvall could be a good player, but if anyone in here tells me he would start for Barcelona above those footballers, one, they don't understand how Barcelona play, because you've got to be able to pass the ball. But can we all agree with that? It don't matter what you do at Barcelona. You have to be able to play that one-touch passing. You can't give it away at the regular rate that Bergvall does. They can all play. So this has to stop. If he gets good at Spurs, great. And look, dude, I'm just going to ask you, grow up. There's no hate. We're talking about what he is, what he's going to grow into. We have to be able to talk about players without everyone thinking it's hate, because I'm going to let that person know, right? I've had these conversations before with so many players in the last couple of decades. I remember having this conversation with fans about Skip, and I was told he's young, just wait. I remember having this conversation about Winks, about Mason, about Livermore, about this player, this player, and G and Kudo. Every young player I'm told is great and would get into other teams. Then when they go elsewhere, no one takes accountability for their opinion, but we're doing it again. Bergvall right now, Barcelona, you're having an absolute laugh.
Well, the other thing I get told is, if you bring up Levy-nomics' comment at 8:54.
8:54. Sorry, Skip is nowhere near at the level that Bergvall is.
No, one before that, 8:54.
No, I was just looking at that comment going, but what? Like, what have people seen? Anyway, this.
So, yeah, okay. They're very quick to sort of pick things like Maddison was at Coventry. But wasn't Harry Kane not getting into like the Millwall team at like 22?
Yeah.
Like they're very quick to go, but this young lad was this far down. But Harry Kane was nowhere at the age of 22 and then hit a bit of form. So for me, you can pick and choose both things. There's scenarios where Ian Wright played absolutely nothing, could come on right at the last minute. And there's players that started really early, and now they're just because there's one player's made one pathway doesn't mean that the next player is going to make them the same pathway.
Yeah, can we keep doing this in this fan base? Like every kid would go, yeah, but look at Bale, look at Kane. It's like, can we stop pretending every player is the same as another youngster that's come before them? Listen, I get it, right? I don't dislike Bergvall. He's okay. But I've just not seen this pedestal that people are putting him on. I see a kid, and I think Rain is spot on. I see a kid that has ability, but that doesn't know what he is, hasn't had his abilities honed. And because of that, let's see where he is in 2-3 years. Now, the problem is, and this isn't his fault, James, at a bigger club, Bergvall wouldn't be starting. There'd be no pressure on him. So right now, if he was, bearing in mind, he wouldn't get in anywhere near an Aston Villa or a Arsenal or a City or a Chelsea. He doesn't get anywhere near those clubs. But if he was at those clubs, he'd get 10 minutes here, 10 minutes there, and no one would be talking about it. The problem is at Spurs, hang on 1 second, Lobo. The problem is at Spurs, where we haven't bought properly and bought proper midfielders, he is starting games. And the problem is people like Alex go, he's amazing. Boom. He's not. He's a young kid who's got ability, but I don't know what that is, right?
I wonder what he is. If part of the thing with Bergvall, and I think we do this a lot, right? We bought Bergvall. Yeah, we've spent money. We didn't spend a lot of money, but we spent money on Bergvall. And that instantly makes us believe that he should be part of the first team. And I don't think that's right. I could lay a pretty good case, right? That, and forgive me, I'm not saying that this guy should be anywhere near our first team. Yeah, and I'm not saying that this guy should be in our first 11, should have played Saturday. But I think there's a good case, given the numbers that he's put in his career so far, that Donnelly should be closer to our first team than Bergvall should at the moment, right? That's not to say that one is about, but Bergvall, he's got an engine, he's clearly got physicality, but I think the only reason that he's near our first team is because we bought him.
Agreed.
I tell you how I've got to shoot in a minute, sir. But I tell you how I describe Bergvall. It's like this giant jigsaw puzzle, and there are spaces around the jigsaw puzzle that are missing. And when it's completed, it's going to be a really good jigsaw puzzle. But he's not quite there yet, and there are gaps in there. I don't think being part of the Postecoglou revolution last year helped him in terms of his development. And I think personally, I thought Bergvall did bloody well considering the chaos that he came into to progress the way he did
well because there was no tactics, right? He did well because it allowed him to run around like a headless chicken rather than actually us saying, what is Bergvall, right? That's surely why he did well.
But what he's doing now, so what Frank's doing is that he's trying to hone him. He's trying to teach him when to pass, when to hold the ball, when to carry the ball. And I think with that coaching, it's difficult for Frank because he's playing midweek mode. Most weeks, midweeks, Spurs have got a game, and when it's international break, Frank's got 5 or 6 players left out of 25. So it's a problem, but he will probably go out the Champions League early in the new year. If it's not Jan, but probably won't be Jan. It'll probably be Feb, I would have thought. And then he'll have time midweek to start drilling the players, which I think the fact that we've been in the Champions League in terms of drilling players for a new system hasn't benefited Frank because we're playing every 3 or 4 days. So he's had to keep rotating. He can't get on the training pitch, for any number of any length of time and say, right, let's just work on this for the whole week, the way that Everton do, the way United are doing.
But Lubo, that's my point. When I say that, right, I say he's young. If we're going to go down the premise, and I think James said this earlier in the show, if we're going to go earlier if we're going to go on this premise that they're young and they need time to grow, that's where I'm at. He's young, let him grow. Hence why I don't put him on.
I've got to shoot. But we didn't replace Javier Lascelles, so
I agree, mate. I agree. I'm not blaming. Yeah, listen, you got to go. Shoot. You got to go. I'll see you later. Lubo goes to a better channel at this time. He goes to Last Word on Spurs. By the way, guys, people say it's so negative. I don't think we're just analysing footballers. I don't know why that is always perceived as negative. Rain, the thing for me is, and this is what people in the chat don't listen to. I've nowhere said he's not going to be a good player. I've nowhere said that he can't make it. All I'm saying is at the moment, I think he's almost a victim of Spurs' awful recruitment plan, right? And at any other big club, he's not playing as much at those clubs as he is at Tottenham because they've got proper midfielders. What we've done is we've actually gone and spent money on Graham Bergvall, right? If Graham Bergvall had been through our academy, there's no way they're getting these minutes, by the way. There's no way they're getting these minutes. So we pay for them. They come into the first team. And the problem is our standard of footballer has gone so low now that players just have to do the basics, Rain, and we praise it. Bergvall, for me, talented in areas, naive in other areas because of his age, and I don't see a set position. And the fact that everyone in the chat thinks he's a different position tells you, right? It tells you. We all think Xavi Simons is the number 10, right? James Maddison is a number 10. We're not arguing what position they are. So we need, for me, to give him time. However, if Spurs fans are going to praise him, put him on a pedestal, then I'm going to critique him on that pedestal. I use this with Kane as well, by the way, Rain. When people say Harry Kane's the best striker in the world, cool. Show up in a big game. Oh, but you can't say that. Yes, I can. You put him on the pedestal. I will judge him by the pedestal that you're putting him on, right?
I mean, that's where I am. Yeah, I look at some of these players and I wonder, I look at the Tottenham Hotspur development path and Bergvall should not be a first team player for Tottenham Hotspur. He should be being developed. And that's what Barcelona were going to do, right? If you look at Chelsea are a perfect example. Yeah, as much as we laugh at them, eBay FC that Johnny calls them. As much as we laugh at them, they've got that Esteval kid. He is a top talent. He looks fantastic, right? Esteval. He's not starting. He's playing 10, 15 minutes. Pedro Neto starts on that right-hand side for them, and Esteval gets 10, 15 minutes. Yeah? They've got no interest in starting Esteval. They are developing him. They are building him up. They are working out. They are letting him work out how to be a Premier League footballer. And at Spurs, we buy an 18-year-old kid and then we hothouse him. And that doesn't help us. It doesn't help us because with youth, you get one consistent thing: inconsistency.
Absolutely.
Yeah? And it doesn't help him because he hasn't got any space to learn. Kids need to learn. He's a kid, right? I'm an old man. He's a kid. He needs to learn. He will make mistakes, and he needs to learn from those mistakes. And we hothouse them. We literally sink or swim them. And it's not a good thing. So I hope that he makes it. I hope that he develops because he's definitely got some skills and he's definitely got physicality. Will he make it at Spurs? History would tell us no.
I think Danny's got his spot on it. This is my point. The more they get bigged up for doing very limited things, the more they get focused on, the more they get judged and spoke about, then it's the circle that keeps going around. This is it. As I said, I will say the same thing for Bergvall to do for Gray. They're okay. They're young. If they've got talent, fine. We'll see over the next few years. But I can tell you what's going to happen, James. What will happen with all these players? Any of them that do come good, like in 2-3 years' time, and if people go, see, you were wrong. But James, I'm going to, something you just said, I thought I love that, is I'm a Spurs fan. I'm asking for now. Like, where's my midfielder for now? Cool. My midfielders for 2-3 years' time. That's brilliant. I don't really care. Where's my midfielders for now? Stop telling me, not you, but stop telling me how well this kid has done on loan. Stop showing me wonder goals that our kids are scoring on loans and we're saying they're amazing. We're Tottenham Hotspur. We're one of the richest clubs in world football. We're in the Champions League. Where are the players for now? The top clubs aren't doing this. And to not go stupid with it, James, I always use the Aston Villa example. Aston Villa have turned into a very consistent, very good team over the last 4 years that challenge for the top 4 every year. I don't see Aston Villa buying 18-year-olds and their fans begging for those 18, 19-year-olds to start games of football, right? They have got McGinn, Kamara, Onana, Tielemans, right? Ollie Watkins, Donny Marlon. They've got men, senior pros. So why is it that we seem so set on kids? Now it's the Diamonde from Leipzig. We want another 19-year-old and this 19-year-old. And why are we obsessed with this?
Yeah, I'm going to say, yeah, like we said, I have no idea. And the thing that annoys me most is they're very quickly to go, yeah, but we haven't got the squad, or we ain't got these players, we haven't got the team to be where we should be, or it's all on Frank. And then it's just such a flip-flop mentality. Like we're saying here, people are going, like, in 5 years they're going to be great. Or I don't care. To be honest, I actually think sometimes it's the opposite. I think when they come in and have a good game, for me, the worst thing that ever happened to Papa Sarr was him playing in AC Milan. He had that unbelievable game. Everyone went, wow, this kid. And in fairness to him, unbelievable game as well. Was it him and Skip in the midfield?
Yeah,
unbelievable, both of them. Everyone goes, oh, we've got something here. And even me, I go, God, this boy's a player. Never ever played like that. Yeah, never ever played like that ever again. It was a one game wonder. For me, people like him, Gray, Bergvall, Odeberts, all of those young lads need to be out at your Millwalls, Charltons, anyone slightly further down, scoring 30 goals a season if you're a winger in a lower league. Winning player of the season, if you're in a championship. For me, I actually think Oliver Skipp is a better player than or could have been a better player than he was. For me, the problem was he won Player of the Season in the Championship. Everyone went, "Wow, this kid's unreal." Straight into a Champions League midfield, and he couldn't swim now. He's not ready for that. The Championship to top 4, top 6 teams is almost like another 2 leagues in between. So for me, our fans go, "No, look how good he was. He's just won Player of the Season in the Championship. He must play every week." Same as Vlahovic, or what's his name? The centre-back that we've loaned out to Hamburg. Yeah, Vuskovic. Everyone's going, "This guy's good." It doesn't matter. We could afford to let one of our centre-backs go now. We've got him coming in. For me, it's like, no. What I would do if I was him, I'd loan him back out to him again. Go, you want him again for another season? Have him again for another season. Then he's got 2 years Bundesliga experience, playing every single minute of every single game, creeping up the table in a big team. Then, right, okay, now you're ready to come over. But our fans go, "Wow, have you seen that 2 or 3 games? He's get him in straight away." And then when we do get him in and we lose, we go, "Well, why has Frank picked him?" Well, we've been telling you he ain't ready. But your love for a player is overseeing the love for the club, and that is why we're dropping. Look, I really like Vicario, but if you offered me the Villa keeper, what's his name? You offered me Martinez. I'm not going to say, yeah, I'd rather keep Vicario. I'm a Tottenham fan. You know what I mean? It makes no sense. It really makes no sense to me. If you want what's best for the club, you're not keeping Bergvall over an Edison from Atalanta. So what are we talking about? What are we doing here?
So let me ask a question, because this is interesting, right? So Alex, again, see, this is what makes you laugh is somebody like Alex for years has just been going, Levy out, Enoch out, Levy out, Enoch out. They don't buy the players we need, but then sits here and champions every 18-year-old, right? This is where I'm so confused with fans, James. We sit here and talk about we hate the owners because we don't buy top players. We're not serious. We can't compete. But then when you suggest, James, buying in top players, people go, yeah, but the kids, like Vuskovic, this comment is interesting, right? Because Vuskovic, I get it. Everyone's talking about him, right? Everyone at the moment is talking about Vuskovic, right? I get it. Now, I don't know. You don't know. None of us know. He could come into the Premier League right now, James. He could be the greatest centre-back that's ever played football, right? Or he could not. But right now, what we're talking about here is, let's say we bring Vuskovic back, all right? And you've still got next season Van de Ven and Romero. What good is it that Vuskovic is sitting on the bench week in, week out, while Van de Ven and Romero play week in and week out? So I'll ask the question, if Vuskovic comes back, then who are you dropping? If Vuskovic comes back, does Vuskovic seem like the guy to you that wants to sit on the bench and play?
Well, he openly come out and said that, didn't he? He actually openly come out and said that. Look, I want to get better. I want to play week in, week out. And even in that comment, what did I disagree with any of it? He's scoring great goals week in, week out. I haven't said he hasn't. He's playing week in, week out. Yeah, but I haven't said anything that he said against him. I haven't said he's crap in any way, shape, or form. I haven't said he's not going to be good. Like you just said, he could be the world's best centre-back in the next 2-3 years for the next decade. But what I'm saying is, the only reason he's seeing him be a good centre-back is because he's on loan in the first place.
Right. Exactly.
If he was at Spurs this season, he wouldn't be playing in front of Romero, Van de Ven and Danso. So the fact that he's gone out on loan is the reason that people can judge him. That's what I want for Archie Gray and Bergvall and Odegaard. That's what I want them to do.
Can we just say, Rain, I'll bring you in here. What cracks me up, right, is there are people in the chat saying, not that guy there, saying, loans don't do anything for them. I'd rather they were around better players. I mean, if you just look at the number of footballers across the world that have gone out on loan before they've made it, let's just have a look. Chelsea, how many? Guehi, right? Tamori, all these boys went on loan. Mason Mount went on loan. Tammy Abraham went on loan, right?
Saliba, 2 years.
Arsenal was bought in, sent on loan. Now he's one of the best centre-backs in the Premier League. When I don't think people understand youth football. I truly, as I always say, I'm lucky enough that I've worked in it. When people say, what does going out on loan actually do? Well, if you're that good, i.e. Vuskovic, he's gone in, he said, I'm playing every week. I'm not just going to say it, I'm going to show it. Fine, there you go, brilliant, playing every week. as opposed to sitting at Tottenham Hotspur, not getting minutes because we need backup. You've got to ask yourself that question. This is a real prime time at that age to be developing, right? Do you want your player to be sitting on a bench, getting a few minutes here or there? Or do you want your player playing week in, week out, growing into a man? And it's not going to be the same for everyone. But I've said this a number of times. For me, I just think Archie Gray this season, I know it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen now. Archie Gray this season for me would have really benefited from going somewhere and playing every minute in central midfield, going somewhere and playing week in, week out in the gym, developing, bulking up. But instead,
back to Leeds, where he come from.
I don't think he'd get in at Leeds. But the problem is, this is the problem.
Yeah.
Who in the Premier League, seriously,
no one in the Premier League is going to take him. So
who in the Premier League takes Archie Gray and says, this is our number one midfielder in the Premier League week in, week out?
And yet he's part of our first team squad. You know,
right.
that's the paradox, right?
Right, exactly.
I've got some sympathy with the thing about I don't think loans work very well at all. I'm really not convinced. Like, we had a good example. Skip went to the Championship in Norwich. He was a player of the season.
Yeah.
Right? Does that mean that he's going to be like this outstanding central midfielder in the Premier League? No, clearly not. Vuskovic, for his age, and I think he's playing men's football. He is a unit. He is massive. He is already. He is a kid in a man's body, right? Just like Wayne Rooney was, right? Just like Wayne Rooney was. Do you know what we really, really need? And I think James is going to love this. We need an Antwerp or a Standard Liège where we can send our good players regularly on loan. We need a feeder club. We need to get with the modern world and have a multi-club system where we actually develop these players. Because at the moment, like, you know, sending our half decent players, like, who knows, right? I'm gonna get chat jump down my throat, right? I'm gonna get chat jump down my throat. But who knows if Scarlett had actually had lots of game time, at a lone club, that he wouldn't have had 5-10 games where he did nothing, and then done what kids do. Kids level up. Yeah, kids are like here, and then all of a sudden they step up. Right?
Yeah.
And who knows if he'd done that? Probably wouldn't, but who knows? But we will never know, because we've sent him out to men's football, and he's playing against 24-year-old solid centre forwards who are like a 7, and he's potentially a 5 or an 8. You know, and which manager who needs to put food on his table? Yeah, and these are lower league managers. Yeah, they've got mortgages, right? They're not sitting on a Greek beach getting fed steak. They want to make sure that they can pay their mortgage. Who are they going to go for? The kid, you know, who it might be a 5, might be an 8, or the guy who's going to be a 7 in that league? They're going to go for the guy who's a 7. Yeah, unless the kid proves he's 9, like Vuskovic, maybe Mikey Moore. What we really need is a club where they can go and they can get men's minutes in a decent league. And until we do that, we're just going to be sending them out and, you know, and developing League One players, which we get no money for. They're not coming into our first team. You know, Vuskovic, it looks like he's on a Real Madrid train to me.
I agree with what you're saying. The only thing I kind of half disagree is, obviously, one of the examples you said is Skip being player of the season in the Championship. But then what I said is, if he stayed at Norwich and then they got promoted and he stayed at the bottom of the table, no pressure, no stress, just one player of the season, show us what you can do in the big boy league, and he has 20 good games, 10 bad games, whatever. He's then got that experience. Right, I know what I've got to do in the Premier League now. They go away for pre-season. Right, I've got to bulk up. I've got to be sharper. I've got to do this. I've got to do that. The problem is he came straight back, sat on the bench every week for us, had no minutes, no game time, no Prem experience. And then when he was called upon, he wasn't ready. He's not good enough. So for me, it's the same as like all the Archie Grays and the Bergwell. They need to be playing every single week. Become the best person in your club, your league, wherever they are. And then you go, right, you know what? Yeah, you're actually on par with Bentancur here. We think you could bring this. The Bentancur can't bring that. In you come, off you go, Bentancur, you're now sold, and then you'll have an Edison or whatever above that. But our problem is we kind of go, don't worry about that level above. Look how good he could be. He could be this one in a million.
Do you know the biggest
100%.
thing for me though is when they're in the first team at Tottenham Hotspur, and then when we're not allowed to judge them because the only thing that's ever thrown at them is, oh, you're judging young players. But yeah, they're in the first team for the club I support, Tottenham Hotspur. So I don't know what we're meant to do then. Like if people that are craving, like every weekend you get, I want to see Gray, right? I want to see Bergvall. I want to see Kinski. I want to see all the great. But then when you then critique them, is, oh my God, look how much you lot judge the young players. You know, you're like, well, they're no longer young players. They're first team footballers at Tottenham. If you don't want me to judge them, then play the senior pros. I'll judge them. And that's where I find it frustrating, James. That's where I find it.
That's what I was just about to say. I was just about to say, what do we say week in, week out about Richarlison? What do we say week in, week out about Brennan Johnson? You know, so what? We're allowed to judge them because of their age, but we can't judge the youth because of their age. Like, make them. I judge Tottenham Hotspur players for playing for Tottenham Hotspur, not when their birthday was. I couldn't care. Happy birthday. I really couldn't give a rat's ass. I care about how you play on that pitch. That's all I care about.
Completely agree. Listen, can I just caveat this? I want to see every young player do well. I would love it if in 3 years' time I'm watching Tottenham Hotspur and we've got a midfield of Gray, Bergvall, and Xavi Simons, and they are all world-class footballers. Happy days. But the problem is, right now we need better than what we've got. Like right now, I should be seeing, you should be seeing, and this isn't their fault. I'm not blaming them, the kids. Right now, we shouldn't be watching an Archie Gray in midfield. No offense to him. Right now, in those games, you should be going, right, Bentancur or Paulinho's not playing this week. Adam Wharton's playing. You know what I mean? I'm just fucking. This is what these clubs do. Aston Villa can go, all right, McGinn's not playing today. Anana's coming in. You know, that's what these clubs are doing. And we're going, go on. And what happens is Archie Gray has a decent game. Decent, right? Decent. And there's video compilations, James, going around. Look what Gray did. And you're like, how far have our standards fallen that we're making video compilations after a 19-year-old's come in and made a few passes? Like, the levels have dropped. So I question, I'll ask you two guys this. I question when our fans say, Enoch out, Levy out, I want better players, I want to win titles. Do they? Do they want that? Because at the same breath of saying that, in the same breath, they're desperate for this to be a youth club. They're desperate for this to be a breeding ground for 19-year-olds. So I'm just confused as to what do we want?
Yeah, again, that's what I started off pretty much on the front of the show by saying I'm a Tottenham Hotspur fan. I don't care about Bergvall and Archie Gray as such, as players. I'm not one of these people that follow a player all over the world. I'm not one of these people that follow a manager all over the world. You know, Harry Kane, for me, greatest striker in the world. I'm happy he's doing well. I don't know when he's playing, what he's playing, his minutes, his goals. He's like, look, I'm well happy for him. But I'm a Tottenham fan. He's gone now. I've moved on. It is what it is. I just don't understand it. People kind of have all these opinions and then they want to go, yeah, the moment we start losing, they go, well, he has got kids playing. It's like, well, what do you want?
So, I'm just going to come back to it. We're not doing him any good, and it's not doing us any good. Gray, yeah, had a good game. Had a good game yesterday. It was tidy, neat. Didn't do didn't do anything wrong.
He was all right.
And the calls will go out. Got to start Gray every game now. He's got to play every single game now, right? Until he has a mare, obviously, and then there'll be, we'll be doing this. He's great. He's rubbish. He's great. He's rubbish. The reality is that 18 to 20-year-olds, unless they're exceptional, and there's a reason that we use the word exceptional because they're exceptions, should either be out on loan or should be getting 10 minutes off the bench at a club like at a aspirational club like Tottenham Hotspur. And I think we're all in agreement. I'm not sure if anybody else, does Lubo disagree with that? I'm not sure, because for me, right, I do like youth club stuff, right? And I feel like we're actually harming his development personally. And I think we will harm Bergval's development, because I don't think he will. I think he will be too pressured to learn what we've been talking about, learn his position, learn where he should be playing, learn in situational awareness.
Great.
Let him learn. Hothousing him.
Let him learn. See, this is, sorry, someone like Matt doesn't understand it. No one's belittling him. Listen to what we're saying. We're asking for him to grow in peace. We're asking for people like you to stop calling for them to be amazing and playing every game. This is that you're not listening, Matt. I know you're not the full ticket, mate, but you come out with some really weird stuff. For me, as I said, the week before, everyone's going, oh my God, Gray's not ready. It's Fulham. Then this week, they're making video compilations of him. And if this doesn't show how backwards we are as a football club and a fan base, I don't think anything else will. I want to move to something a bit more positive, guys. Look, it was we had some really good performances yesterday all around the pitch. Can we say that, listen, I'm going to say it's a player I don't rate, but Richarlison is, can't believe I can say Richarlison, I don't rate him, terrible touch, technique's awful, but he is worth his place in the team at the moment, right? With the squad that we've got, he's worth his place. He's getting in the right positions. He's grabbing some goals. And the one thing I can never take away from this lad is his work rate. Do I rate him? Is his hold-up play good? No. But, guys, I mean, he's putting in some shifts, isn't he? Old Richarlison.
He reminds me of a player that was in a very before Football Manager. There was Football Manager started out as a game called Championship Manager, right? This is for us oldies, right?
Yep.
And in Manager, I think it was Champ Manager 4, which was, in my opinion, the apex of the game, the peak. That was when it peaked.
Yeah.
There was a player called Cherno Samba.
Yeah.
Right?
He used to play for Millwall.
Yeah, and he could do two things. He could run and he could shoot.
Yeah.
And he was brilliant. He was absolutely amazing. He was a goal machine in that game. And that's Richie. Richie can run his socks off and he can finish.
Can he?
Well, I mean, he clearly is finishing. And okay, maybe it's not a 20. Maybe he's not a 20, James, but he's clearly got. Well, yeah, exactly.
Mate, Championship Manager was Football Manager before Football Manager. It was
like the
mates used to come around. We'd bunk off school for the day, and you could do an entire season in about 4 hours, as opposed to now where it takes 4 hours to set up a friendly. Do you know what I mean? So great days. Great days.
He can run around a lot, and he can get on the end and finish like he did at the weekend, like he did yesterday.
See, I personally, I kind of disagree. I think that he definitely runs around a lot. I give him that. He loves rolling around on the floor a lot as well. So I'll give him that. He's pretty good at that. But for me, I feel like when they're not very good players, they have good moments. And I think that I'm not comparing the two because Peter Crouch was levels above. But I would say Peter Crouch was a great moments player, not a great player. I'd almost say that Richarlison's a good moments player, not a good player. If that makes sense. Yeah, does that make sense? Yeah, so for me, I would I don't think he's good technically. I don't think he's a good finisher. I feel like he does work hard. I feel like sometimes he's good in the air, sometimes he's not. So for me, I think he's an average player, and those average players have good games. And yesterday was a very good game for him.
He clearly puts the ball in the back of the net. He knows how to put the ball in the back of the net. I can't disagree. It's a fact. He literally is putting the ball in the back of the net. And although was it Newcastle where he ran in front of the ball and missed it. James. I'm not saying he's a good player. I'm saying the opposite. I'm saying he's limited. I'm saying he's limited, and anyone who's getting overexcited about him needs to understand that he has limitations. And I think Frank's currently getting the best out of Richarlison.
I agree.
He's getting somebody close to Richarlison. So we've seen the best of Richarlison when Moani has played next to him. Yesterday, if you go and look at the first half, Xavi, Sensible Soccer was absolutely amazing. In the first half, Xavi played really close to Richarlison. That gets the best out of Richarlison, but he's a limited striker. He is. We've been spoiled, right? We had what 7 years of Kane, 8 years of Kane, if we really want to progress as a football club, we need to have a much better striker up top.
Oh, for sure. I think we all know that, right? Like I think we said before the I don't know if this was before the show or just as the show started. It almost feels like if you look at that front four, moving forward for the future, Simmons in the 10, Kudus on the right.
Sean's in the chat. Don't say it. You're gonna make him cry.
Well, Simmons in the 10, Kudus on the right. We've got to, whether or not. Listen, by the way, I don't think everything we want to get done is going to get done in one window. I think this is going to be over a number of years. But we've got to get a better left winger and we've got to get better forwards, because I think the left wing is becoming a real problem for us. I say becoming. I think it's been a real problem all season, right? It's interesting because we've seen Moani play there on Saturday. Odegaard's had time there. I've not been impressed with him. Johnson's played there. I'm not impressed with him. Tell's played there. I'm not impressed with him. And Frank basically said this, James, last week. Not in those words that I used. He didn't say I'm not impressed, but he basically said, they said, what's going on with the left-hand side? And it was like, yeah, we've played a lot of people there. And he said, no one's really put their foot down and said, this is my position. This is a big issue for us. I think this left-hand striker combo, I think it definitely needs to be massively upgraded. Massively.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, remember when we used to be a good football club and have good players, and now we're praising people for being able to control the football. Absolutely mental. Honestly, it's a myth. People big up the likes of Odegaard and Kolo Muani, and you've got players like Kudus in the squad. It's like, well, so if you're rating these guys, what have you got on the other side? Like, isn't this where we should be going towards? For me, agendas have got to agenda, and people fall in love with players over the actual football club again. For me, Richarlison had a fantastic game yesterday. I take nothing away from him. Fair play, worked hard, did what he needed to do. Kolo Muani, Odegaard, Tell, Johnson, they're championship level, mate. I'm sorry. They're crap.
You think Moani's championship level?
I think he's crap. I think he's got a nice touch. He works hard. But have we fallen that far down to say that that's what we're looking for now? That's a good player now, is it? People talking to me about buying him. The guy hasn't scored a goal yet. Like in the Premier League, the guy hasn't scored a goal and we're rating him. His job is to score goals.
How many
it makes no sense.
Do we know how many he's played?
I don't know, but he's got. He started the last 6-7 games, surely.
See, I know we were talking about Mawani backstage, and by the way, for anybody that when I put this up, this is what the old screens were like for Championship Manager back in the day. I believe you can still buy them on. I haven't done for years, but is it Steam? Is Steam the platform that people buy games on? Steam or
Steam's
I
the
believe you
main
can.
platform. Yeah.
I believe you can get them, and it's so simplistic. By the way, it's not as complicated as the game now. It's good fun. I used to play it and used to always buy Richard Rufus. If you know, you know. So yeah, going back to Mawani, it's an interesting one for me because I don't think it helped that we bought Mawani as a kind of real panic on the last day. And we didn't even buy him. We loaned him. I don't think it helped that that Mawani was brought in on the last day. I like Mawani as a footballer. The question mark I've always had with Mawani is how prolific is he? Because he goes through patches in his career. Do you know what I mean? Like he goes through these spells where he'll get 10 in 15 and then doesn't score for 7 or 8. And you're like, I like him as a player, but is he the prolific marksman? Will he become the prolific marksman? These are all the questions I guess we're going to find out between now and the end of the season. Is that fair of me to say that?
I think it is, yeah. And I think the one thing that I'm judging him by playing at Tottenham Hotspur. That's what I'm judging him. I'm not judging him on his past. I'm judging him on now and what he's doing for Tottenham Hotspur. And the one thing that people throw in my face or whatever is, did you see that touch for his assist to Odebert? Well, hello, he's a Premier League footballer who plays every day, 5, 6, 7 days a week. I should think so. He should be able to control the football and play a 3-yard pass. I expect that from Brennan Johnson. Everybody on the football pitch.
Look how split the comment section are on Mawani. It's madness. Like some people, he's the best we've got. Other people are saying he's crap. Others saying
I agree with that statement, though. I agree with that statement. He's the best we've got. But the best we've got doesn't mean that you're a good football player, in my opinion. Yeah, he is the best we've got. But at the same time, he can still be crap. He's crap.
He's not crap though.
All right, tell me what he's done for our football club to go. He's a good player there.
I mean, look, I think the difficulty with me trying to rate what he's done at this football club is until this last few weeks, it hadn't really got going. Do you know what I mean? Until this last couple of weeks, it was like 15 minutes here, 12 minutes there, 30 minutes there. Now he's getting more minutes into his legs. I think we're seeing that. I like him as a player. I think what he does need, this is where you might agree with me, James. I think he needs a couple of games now where we see him rattling a couple of goals. I think when you've got a player on loan, how long can you wait for? Do you know what I mean? Like at some point, he's going to have to start scoring as well as people saying he's played well. I like him. I guess the question you have to ask yourself, and I'll ask this to everyone in the chat, is right now, if I turn around and said to you, right, Spurs are going to buy a striker in the market, and that is Mawani, we're not looking at anyone's, would you be simple yes or no? This doesn't have to be complicated. Simple yes or no. Would you be happy in the chat if Mawani was bought in January or the summer as our main striker for the foreseeable future? James,
and there is a bright answer, by the way.
If anybody puts yes that in January or the end of the season they want Kolo Muani to be our striker for next season, then you are not a Tottenham Hotspur fan. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. No, I don't care. I'm not having it. If you think that our level is Kolo Muani and you're going to complain that we're not in the top 4, I'm sorry. Then no. We need somebody to score goals.
James, I'm looking, and there's loads of yeses.
Let's see, right? I haven't seen yet. I've got to the first one. So we've got no, yes, 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 no, yes, no, yes, no, yes, yes. There's a lot of yeses, yes. No is main. Don't know. Helpful. That's really helpful. No.
There's actually people saying yeah. It's actually people saying they want a guy up front that don't score goals for us.
I'll tell
That's
you what,
actually
So this is
Let me do
where
a
I
poll.
land on this, right? This is
Let
where
me-
I land on this. We
One
don't
second,
have
Rain, one second. Guys in the chat, I've ended the old poll. I am starting a poll.
we're gonna get numbers on this.
Let's see, right? It's this simple. Would you sign Mawani on a permanent?
How many times can I vote?
Hang on. Would you sign Mawani on a permanent right now? There you go. Right now. I don't want to. No caveats. No if he scores 10 between now and this. Right now.
I just want to stick up for myself. One thing in the chat. Everyone is saying to me, with Mawani, if he was crap, would Mawani play for France? Hold on a minute. Richarlison plays for Brazil, you idiots. You absolute idiots. So what are you saying to me? Richarlison's good now? Or is it because he's had one good game and he's an elite Brazilian striker now? You're absolutely stupid. I'm sorry, you're so stupid.
So this is where I land. This is where I land. I don't think we've got the data on Mawani, right? He's come to us. He's come to us, never been injured, or like one day injured, come to us, had a month off for a dead leg, had a couple of games, couple of good moments against Copenhagen. He took the ball down, and instantly I'm thinking, a striker who can actually trap the ball. Wow, that is revolutionary at Spurs. And then he breaks his, and then he gets a broken jaw and he's out for a month. We don't have the data on more. Anyone who's saying yes, ask yourself what has he actually done in terms of output that's convinced you that he's going? Because for me, he played left
there you
wing.
go. I'll answer Sean. I guess this is right. Listen, notice by the way, guys, I've been a politician on this one. I have not answered. Notice that, right? So before anyone in the chat has a go, I'm hosting. I have not said anything. Good point from my man, Sean. Sean, if you want to come on and debate this with these guys, feel free.
I'll give you my answer.
Hang on. I'm guessing the question is, if Mawani's not going to be the guy, who is the guy out there that is better than Mawani, prolific, and Spurs can obtain that player? It's a good question.
But that's a completely different kettle of fish, though, isn't it? Because if I name somebody better, they'll go, well, we can't get him. So what we're saying is we're shit, so we need shit players. Is that what we're saying? We can only attract shit players because we're a shit club. Because if I name someone better, I said it to Sean on Sean's show. Why can't we go put a bid in for Ramos from PSG? He never plays for them. That's a proper striker. But no, let's get Koulibaly Mawani. People are saying Koulibaly Mawani plays in France and they win trophies. So did Moussa Sissoko. Do you know what I mean? Like it's the most brain dead thing ever. I'm sorry, this whole stupid argument about he plays for his country is thick. Mustafi played for the German side that won the World Cup. What are we saying? Like, come on, let's have an adult conversation. And people that says, well, who can we sign? So what we're saying is there's loads of better players, but they won't come to Tottenham. Does that mean that we fell so much and we have to sign shit like Koulibaly Mawani? That's a completely different conversation.
So, okay, so Sean's saying, who else would you sign? James is saying it's a completely different conversation. Okay,
I'd pick Ramos from PSG then. That answers that. I'll pick Ramos from PSG.
Okay, Gonzalo Ramos from PSG. I guess before I ask Rain in the chat, let's get some suggestions. Please keep it sensible. Please don't start talking about strikers that Spurs have absolutely no chance signing. Give me some names of who you'd want to sign. By the way, for anyone that likes Spanish football, I know we got told earlier that shocks don't happen elsewhere, but Real Madrid are 12 minutes away from losing at home to Betis. I'm just letting you know that. Rain, where are you at with all this, my man?
So he's on my list. That's the thing, right? Everyone's like, the question is, would you sign him now? And my answer is no. But he's on the list, and we're not signing him now, right? So the question is right. The question is a point in time. It has to be a point in time judgment because we've no idea what's happening. We've no idea what's happening in the future. He's on the list, and if he picks up and makes a complete mug of James Flower, and ends up scoring 20 goals, right? Then then you've got to consider him, right? He settles in and he becomes, you know, and he shows us that he's like this absolutely incredible player. I will just say, right, if you go and watch yesterday, his header on the back post, I am absolutely convinced any striker worth their salt on the back post, heading the ball, they hit it down, right? They don't hit it straight into the goalkeeper's hands. So I look at that and I think,
What about the one where the keeper saved it? It bounced out to him. He's about 10 yards of space. All he's got to do is tap it into the net, and he swings and misses like he's playing golf.
yeah.
What about all we forgetting about those?
Yeah, yesterday was a bit of an eye opener for me in terms of his quality of finishing. Will he? You know, one game does not make, you know, a good sample size.
One swallow does not make a summer. Is that the saying?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's one. You know, one game doesn't give you, the stats that you need to judge him. And I don't think we should. Let's face it. Again, we're coming back to this. He's playing left wing, right? I don't think he played very well yesterday at all. I think he really didn't have a very good
behind your keyboard, mate.
And if you go and have a look at his stats yesterday, they were awful, right? We are going to, if we play him left wing because we've got nobody else, then he's never going to convince us that he's a good striker, and so it becomes a moot point.
Can I ask? Let me put it another way. Again, notice I've seen people in the chat saying Savva's delusional. I'm like, I've not said anything. I've not said anything. This caused a bit of a stir, this one. Let me ask you guys, what would, clearly both of you are not in the Kolo Muani fan club. Yeah. So for you guys, is there if we say we're the 7th of December, he's here until what, the end of May. For you, if he stays fit, what does he need to do for you guys for you to pivot your opinion? Because there's nothing wrong with saying, hey, if he does this, that proves me wrong. But
absolutely.
Because for me, I think this is a difficult one. When you get a player in on loan, it's difficult because with a new player, like Xavi Simons signs for us, you go, okay, year one, you can say, right, come in, settle down, bed in. Do you know what I mean? You're here for 5 years, if that's the plan. When it's a loan player, it's meant to be instant. A player coming in on loan is meant to be, there's the impact. Now, again, I caveat that with, I think it's been difficult for him to be able to do that because of the stop-start nature. But now he is in the team. I do agree. I need to see more. But what does that look like for you to say, sign him in January?
Has to be able to put the ball in the back of the net.
Yeah, but give me numbers. Like you got 6 months of the season to go. Give me something I can work with.
15, so how many games?
15 Premier League goals minimum.
So 15 Premier League goals in the last 23 Premier League games.
Yeah.
Oh, come on, Rain. That's Erling.
I want a striker. I don't want somebody who's going to score one here, one there. I want somebody who's going to be able to do what Kane just did for Bayern Munich. Come on, score 2, score 3. Yeah, go on patches. If he's the striker that we're going to spend. Everybody needs to get it in their head, right? They're like, oh, let's buy him for 50 million, you know, but he won't be our main striker. We couldn't put Matisse Tell on our squad list. Our squad is so bloated, right? Our squad is so bloated. If we buy a striker like Muani, we're not buying somebody else. That's the place. The next striker we buy is the only striker we're buying. So that's why it's such an important decision. We can't sell Richie. Yeah, nobody's buying him. You can put your house on the market all you like. Unless somebody gives you an offer, you can't sell it. So we need to be buying, the next striker we buy needs to be the Kane replacement, and he needs to be scoring 20 goals a season.
For me,
Can I just answer that, James? I get it, right? And just before I bring Sean in, I get it. Evening, Sean. Just before I bring Sean in, isn't the half the problem though, Rain, that like when we talk about, and I don't disagree, we need the Kane replacement, and we've known we've needed a Kane replacement for years. Isn't the difficulty though that there aren't many Harry Kanes? I mean, I think there's 3 Harry Kanes in the world. One is Lewandowski at Barcelona, one is Erling Haaland at Man City, and the other one is Harry Kane himself at Bayern Munich. Equally, if there were Harry Kanes, we're not that club that they want to come to, right? So it's okay to say we want a bloke that gets 15 in 23. Who is that? Who is that guy? It's easy to say it, but who is he?
If they're valuing him at 45, 40, 50 million, whatever, are you prepared to spend that sort of money on somebody that scores 10 goals a season for us?
No, but that's not. No, hang on. That's not why. That's not why. I'm playing devil's advocate. I'm not disagreeing or agreeing. I'm just saying, when we talk about we need the Kane guy that's prolific. I agree. But who is that prolific guy that says Tottenham? Because people in the chat saying things like Julian Alvarez. Why is Julian Alvarez going to leave Atletico Madrid to come to Tottenham? Like it's not going to happen, is it?
Mateta is for Palace is better than Kolo.
Yeah,
scoring goals, getting assists, holds the ball up, gets in behind. Surely this is what we've got to be looking at. So if it's not him, there's got to be something on that level. Someone that is scoring week in, week out. Someone that is getting assists, holding the ball. When you've got players, you need to also look at the squad we've got. When you've got people like Kulos on one side, you used to get another kind of dribbler or someone in behind on the other side. You need someone that's just going to sit in the box and score goals. And for me, he doesn't have that goal threat. And proof's in the pudding so far.
Okay, let me bring Sean in. Evening, Sean. How are you?
All right, guys. Yeah, I mean, I'm in bed. I was having a
choose your words carefully.
no.
Choose your next words carefully, Sean.
I'm having an early night, and I don't feel particularly great. But then I just heard some peak delusion and some absolute waffle, and you know what? It sort of wakes you out of a slumber to hear the levels of delusion that are on offer, and you know, it makes you just go, you know what? I've got to come on and just sort of offer some actual, I don't know, some truth and some reason. Yeah. I mean, James Flower saying we're going to sign Gonzalo Ramos. I mean, I don't know what we're doing here.
I didn't say we was going to. So there's the first line.
We could or we should. Right?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, but
I didn't say we could or we should.
It's very easy to throw out names of players that
I was asked who is better than Colin Moani. I gave you a name. Is that wrong? You're now putting words into my mouth saying I said we should sign him.
You said we should go and bid for Ramos, right? Which is a big fat waste of time.com because he's never going to come. And then I hear Rain, well, I'll be up to you, Rain, great to see you, come out with an absolute stinker of all stinkers that he expect the only way to justify Kolo Muani is to expect him in the second half of the season to do golden boot levels of output. Otherwise, he isn't worth signing. So a loanee should come to Tottenham, and the only way you get a full-term contract is do golden boot levels of output. Do you know how many players, how many strikers have scored the ratios that would require 15 in 22? Right, that's an XG of 7.
Yeah, but it's not 22 though, because he's already played like 10. So it's not in 22, is it?
Exactly, James.
He hasn't played a game, by the way. I don't think he's finished
15 and 30.
Sorry?
15 and 30. That's what I'm asking for.
15 and 30.
Yeah, he's played 8.
Yeah, okay. So that would be what? That would be 9. So if that's 0.5, so that's 19 goal GA over the course of the season. If you aggregate that out, if you pro rata it, do you know how many strikers last season scored 19 goals in the Premier League or more?
3, maybe?
5. Salah, Isak, Haaland, Mbumo, and Chris Wood.
Well, hang on, just quickly, Sean. Mo Salah apparently is available in January.
Yeah, exactly. Let's just go and get Mo Salah. You know, let's show some real ambition, shall we? Until we find out his legs have gone, and then suddenly these two bozos are going to be saying, "Well, you always sign players at the end of their career."
John, I want exactly what you've just said. Mate. I think your point is bang on. That's the type of player we need. Somebody
We
who's gonna
can't
get,
be.
like,
Surely we can't be. All right. So say if he scores 10 goals this season, so is that fair? 10 goals for the rest of the season? Is that fair?
Are we talking Premier League?
Yeah, Premier League. Is that
So if
fair?
we're saying we've got 23 Premier League games left. So if for you guys, if he scored 10 in 23, you would look
No,
at
but if
that and
no,
go, he's
but
worth
10.
taking
It's not
on perm.
absolutely not. No, because it's not 23. He's already played 8 games, so it'd be 10 in 31. Would you
Yes,
be
sure.
spending 40,
Hang on,
45,
James.
50 million?
James, let me just try and add a little bit to that though. When we're saying he's played how many league games? How many has he played so
8.
far? 8.
Is it 8?
Of
He
those
only
league
played
games,
90 minutes once.
yeah, of those league games, you say how many of them has he actually been fit, and how many of them has he actually played up front for enough minutes that we can judge? Like, I feel like I'm just adding because I like Mawani, but this is an interesting conversation for me because I don't know if I would sign him. I don't know if I would right now. I need to be convinced. I'm not going to lie, but I don't think it's fair. Hang on. I just don't think it's fair to judge him on the stop-start nature that he's had so far. Hang on, James. Hang on. Let me finish, please. Let me finish just quickly. And again, this was one of my worries when we got him so late in the window on the last day and he wasn't fit. And I was like, this is the problem because normally when you get a lone player in, it is so that they can help you immediately. So this is a real conundrum in my head for me. It's not that I don't like him. It's not that I particularly like him. I'm not sure, if I'm honest, guys. Maybe I'm being a politician.
He's got a goal or an assist this season across the Champions League and the Premier League.
We're talking Premier League.
Oh, what? So Champions League doesn't matter?
Well, no, we were talking. The whole argument was based on Premier League goals. No, the whole argument
because it suits your narrative.
If you're putting the Champions League in because it suits your narrative, the last 20 minutes have all been based in the Premier League.
It's not like I'm trying to squeeze in pre-season friendlies or the League Cup against fucking Doncaster.
The whole conversation of the last 20 minutes has been 15 Premier League goals or 10 Premier League goals. And because that doesn't suit your narrative, you need to add in another competition where he's only scored in 1 game, by the way, to make the stats sound better.
He's got 2 goals and 2 assists in 12 appearances in the Premier League and the Champions League across 645 minutes, right? So 4 GA across 645. Guess what that is? That's a goal or an assist every 160 minutes. So less than a goal or assist every other game, whilst he's coming back to full fitness. Also, I go back to the point. Who else are you going to say? It's easy to say no. It's easy to say we need a Harry Kane replacement. Who the fuck is going to be a Harry Kane replacement that comes to Tottenham? And someone said Samu Agahawa. That geezer doesn't score against any players up above championship level in Portugal. Who are you going to get?
If we give you any names, you'll just go, yeah, he ain't coming. And you'll just shut it down anyway. So if we name anyone remotely better, your first instinct will be like, well, yeah, he's not going to come. He's too good for us.
Do you think for the 45 million quid, 40 million quid it's going to cost you to get him out of PSG? 40 million pound gets you Gonzalo Ramos. Do you think 40 million pound gets you Pavlidis? Do you think 40 million pound gets you anybody that's better than Kolo Muani?
That's a name I'd take, Sean. Pavlidis. I'd take him.
But you're not going to get him. You're not getting for 40 million quid, and he is unproven at this level as well, and doesn't score that many goals against top league. He scores a few goals in the Champions League, but doesn't score that many goals against top level opposition. It's a risk. He's a good player. He's a good player, though.
Sean, we've had this chat a number of times. I agree with what the guys are saying, but I agree with what you're saying. We need a top goal scorer, but there are very few of them out there in the world, and this is the thing for me when we're talking about who is available for Spurs. This comes back down to, again, who can we attract and who is there? And I genuinely don't know. That's why I take a punt on someone like Pavlidis. It's a risk. But
I think it'll cost you more than 40 million quid, Savva. But I'll tell you what else, mate. I'm not making the argument that we start the next season, that Kolo Muani is our striker signing and that's it. I'm basing this off the idea that Richarlison leaves the football club, right? That other players leave the football club, and that we go and get someone like Kolo Muani, have a 3-striker or 4-striker option, if you like. Matthias Tell, if he's going to be around, can be the 4th choice on the bench, or he can disappear on loan or whatever else. But you bring in Kolo Muani on a permanent. I think is good value at 40 million quid. You bring in someone like a Francolino Jew, who's I think he's got 15 goals in about 18 games this season in all competitions, who's 21 years old, looks like he's about 41 years old. So check his passport, by the way. 100% check his passport on that one. But you get a player like that in who can then rotate in. Also, go and get me a. That's hilarious.
That wins comment of the day. Yeah, guys.
Brilliant.
His leg died. He needs time.
He's in a warning period.
Yeah, it's guys.
Sean, I'm not going to disagree with anything you've just said, and I'm in the same place as Savva. I mean, to be brutally honest, we just don't have enough information on him to say he's the player who's going to suit the Premier League, right? Who's going to suit the Premier League? Who's going to suit us? And is going to be that. And you know what? We don't need to make a decision. We can wait. We can wait until like February, March before we even start thinking about it. So he's got plenty of time to go and bang in the 15 goals that I think he should be scoring in the Premier League.
And by the way, Rain, if we're literally judging players after 8-9 games or whatever it is, and about 600 minutes of football, and saying that because he hasn't got any output, therefore he's shit, are we making the same assertion about players like Florian Wirtz? Are we making the same assertion about players like Xabi Simons until yesterday? Are we making the same assertion about players like Alexander Isak? What are we doing here?
Well, Isaac scored loads of goals in the Premier League already, so it's slightly different.
The difference is that there's a spend or don't spend, put in your squad or don't put in your squad decision with Kolo Muani. I'm not making a decision on Kolo Muani. I don't think we have enough information.
Yeah, but we've asked the question, so we answered the question. Would you sign him? Absolutely not. He hasn't done nothing for me to warrant 45, 50 million.
Your justification has been absolutely blown out of the water, as per usual. James,
but why? But why? For me, Richarlison has shown us more this season than Kolo Muani. He scored more goals, got more assists. So what are we saying here? We're going to sell Richarlison, who's had a better output than Kolo Muani, and sign Kolo Muani.
Yes, 100%. Are you actually on the Richie train now, are you, James?
No, he's absolutely no. That's the level. That's the level, though. When you're getting outplayed and outscored by Richarlison, and you want me to spend more money
than
on you,
outscored by Richarlison. Richarlison's playing more minutes.
He's not getting outscored by Richarlison. How many goals has Richarlison scored in the Premier League?
Richarlison's been shoehorned into the. Did you see how quickly Richarlison got taken off the left wing yesterday because he couldn't handle the right back of Brentford. He couldn't get in there. Oh, fuck it. Just stick him in the 9. Let everybody else do the hard graft. Let everybody else put in the graft, and let's see Richarlison just put in a goal that's 3 foot inside the post. What are we doing here? We always play to Richarlison's strengths, and for the most part, he's still a bozo. Yes, he's having a bit of form recently, and he's having a not bad season in output, but input is also part of the equation, Flower. Input's part of the equation. Kolo Muani, what you can see with him is that he's a guy that can actually trap a ball. He's a big lad who can hold the ball up. He can flick the ball.
I'm glad a Premier League player can trap a ball. I'm delighted.
You're literally in the same sentence just saying keep Richarlison, who actually can't trap.
I'm just saying. You're talking about keeping a guy and selling a guy where one's got more GA than the other. For me,
Richarlison's never scored more than 14 goals in the Premier League in his career. And Rain
saying scored no goals in the Premier League.
Hang on a second. And Rain is saying that the justification to bring in Kolo Muani on a permanent at 40 million quid, which is unbelievable value, is to make sure that by the end of the season he needs to have scored more goals in his first season in the Premier League than Richarlison has ever scored in the Premier League. What are we doing here?
How is it unbelievable? But surely we should be. I mean, Conor Gallagher went to Palace, unbelievable year, ripped in goals, assists, played well. They signed him. We're now saying we should be signing this guy because potentially it could be good value. The guy has scored no goals.
I'm getting out of bed. I'm coming back to my desk just to turn my camera on so I can scold you lot for terrible takes.
If I was you, I'd just go back to bed, mate. You're tired. Your opinion is ridiculous.
Do I really have to get up on a Sunday night? Do I really have to get up on a Sunday night, turn my camera on just so I can mud you face to face? These are some of the worst takes I've ever seen in my entire life.
If I was you, I'd get back in bed. Save it.
I think the biggest risk to Muani, is that he never gets to show us exactly how good he is as a consistent number 9, because he's unfortunately through circumstances He just so happens to be the best player that we've got at left wing. So unfortunately, I think the problem is I don't think I'm going to get my data about whether Mawani can be a Premier League number 9, because I think he's going to play left wing for half the games.
Why? We got Odegaard. He's good.
So sorry, just quickly, Soul Sniper Gaming, dude. I've no idea what every one of your posts seems really against my channel. You don't have to be here, mate. When you're saying this stream is only for the benefit to drive viewership, isn't that what all YouTube shows are? Aren't all YouTube shows so to get viewers? Anyway, Sean, let me ask you this. Sean.
Yep.
Players being mentioned in the chat, someone like a Garassi. Would someone like a Garassi do it for you?
He's 29, mate.
Okay, yeah, I get it, but
so does that mean we don't sign Polinia?
Different conversation. Strikers need. Listen, I was wrong about Garassi, by the way. I was wrong about Garassi a year and a half ago. I said to him he was a one-hit wonder because he hadn't done anything. Where was he for the first 17 years of his career? Or first,
what about Gift Orban? Should we sign Gift Orban?
Well, Gift Orban, who scored 60 goals in 98 games and sent three in the Serie A since he's been there. He scored more goals than Kolo Muani has this season.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Should we sign him instead?
Well, listen, I still rate Kolo Muani.
Look, for me personally, I want loan players to come in and be our better players and prove that they should be in our starting team. For me, Kolo Muani has done nothing for me to go, you know what, this guy's earned his base in this squad to be signing him for 45, 50 million pound players. No chance.
So 40 million pound. What does 40 million pound get you? Last summer, 40 million pound.
I don't know. I was only saying those figures because you said them earlier, so I was just kind of like repeating the conversation. But
yeah,
for me personally, you have to come in and prove yourself before we buy it. I personally feel like we've done this too many times where they've come in and been okay, or we've seen them be okay and signed them. Richarlison's always had okay seasons, done nothing really. We paid big money. Solanke had one good season, paid big money. I'm just kind of sick of being on this Ferris wheel, and I don't want to get caught.
Didn't you earlier on pitch for Jean-Philippe Mateta, who has had 1.5 good seasons in his career?
Yeah, but he's continuously 1.5 seasons, and he looks like a very tidy player now in compared to what we've got.
Playing in a different system. Playing a different system.
Oh yeah, but we can only judge things in different systems. We can't judge him in our system if he's not playing for us.
You said him exactly. You said him a minute ago. Just one second. You said him a minute ago. You can't judge him yet, right? You said it's too early to judge. You can't be judging him saying 40 million pound before he's proved himself. Haven't you written him off?
No, not at all. Because I actually said at the start, if he starts scoring goals, then I'm on board. But so far, I'm judging everything that I've seen. And everything I've seen, there's nothing there that values 45 million for me.
Well, you said he's shit numerous times.
So far, I've seen nothing but shit, yeah.
Well, so you're writing him off?
Hang on,
why do we have to be far... One second. Why do we have to be far left or far right? Why can't you be crap until you prove me that you're any good?
That's the question. So you're shit until you prove me otherwise. That's the James Flower rule.
Surely everybody. I'm not going to come and go, "God, this guy's amazing," because I've been told so. Prove it to me.
Let me ask James the question. Let me ask James: Is it for you? Is it purely the goal scoring for Mawani that is not what you like, or is the rest of his game something you're not liking as well? Or is it purely, are you going, yeah, good player, but doesn't score? What is it about Mawani? Is it just the goals? I know that's a massive thing, but is it just lack of goals?
Yeah, I think there's a few things. I would say, yes, goals are. I also think he doesn't work in a Frank system. I think it looks like that our, I hate to say it, but it almost looks like Frank wants a big target man with the amount of balls we put in or the spaces that we create down the sides. So again, I think that whether he's the right man at the wrong club, that could also be the case. For me, I just don't feel like he makes the right runs. I don't think he's good enough on the ball. I don't think he holds up the ball well enough, and I don't think he scores enough goals.
Yeah, he holds the ball up.
Not really, no. How many times has he held the ball up for enough to play Kudus in as a through ball or created anything?
hang on. But do you not
Loads of times. Every time he's played.
Let me just hang on. Let me sit on the fence here. Let me just throw in a scenario here. See, for me, one of the things is, and I've got to be consistent with what I say. One of the things for me is that I don't feel like I feel like the 4 we put out yesterday is the best 4 we've got going forward. I think we would all agree with that in terms of what's fit. We can talk about Solanke and Maddison and Kulu, but they're not fit, right? So for me, that's the best 4 going forward. And this is the first time that we've got all 4 of them fit, sharp, and raring to go. At all times, whether it was Kudus for missing a couple of games, Simmons hasn't quite hit the ground running, Mawani wasn't fit. Wouldn't it be now that maybe we might start seeing more goal output from Mawani now that Simmons is in the 10 and hopefully got the confidence from yesterday, and Kudus is back to playing well and Richie's looking better than he has been? Don't you think that could really help with consistency for Mawani? Because you said there about the big target man, and in general, I don't disagree with you, James. But if you look at the way Brentford played last year in a Frank system, their main centre forward was Johan Wissa. And Johan Wissa's not a big target man. He's more of a run through, running behind, isn't he? So could it not be that now we've got them fit and...
Yeah, of course. And that's what I said at the start. I'm happy for him to come in and start scoring. That's exactly what I want him to start scoring goals and proving a point. But the whole conversation was, would we sign him? Absolutely not. He's done nothing to earn that signature for me. And like what you were saying there with Wissa, for me, there's a difference in the player. For me, Wissa is almost like one of these players that wants to score goals. I feel like he's happy to just score them goals. He wants to get the goals in. I haven't seen that hunger from Mawani. I mean, he's had opportunity after opportunity, and they're not even been like 40-yard screamers we're asking for. They've been 6-yard chances that he should be finishing. If Richarlison missed those chances yesterday, I'm sorry, but every single person in the chat and watching this show would be saying exactly the same thing. How has he missed that? He's a donkey, free header, fell over the ball when it bounced him 6 yards out. But because it's Colin Mawani, we've all got to sit there and go, what a game. He once was a £19 million player. He come from PSG. It's, for me, I don't buy it. I say what I say.
Do you think half the problem, and I'm just going to throw another spin on this, guys. I'll be interested to see what Sean and Rain think of this as well. Do you think that half the problem at this club is we trust our recruitment so little that if they were going to go out and buy, like, bear with me, if they were going to go out and buy a Alvarez when City got him and he was not known, and a Mateta that Palace went out and bought that's not known, or is it that we don't trust our recruitment so much that we're in a position where it's like we can't take a risk on anyone, so it must be someone known like a Mawani? I'm just throwing it out there. Just throwing that out there. Do we trust the recruitment if it's not Mawani?
Couldn't we play devil's advocate as well and say, well, we have signed Richarlison, Solankes and players continuously that have scored goals, and even in the Prem, and they've all flopped as well. I just that's more where I'm at. I don't want to see us spend another 45, 50 million and be burnt again and go, well, we've got another £50 million player on our hands that we can't get rid of again. That's how I feel. I feel like no matter where we turn, unless we actually go and get someone decent and quality, then it's going to be that case.
I don't really have a problem with where we are, which I've seen moments from Mawani. I know he's delivered in the past. We've got a try before you buy, scenario. We've got him on loan. We can see how not every player is a Premier League player, right? Some players are not Premier League players. Some players are Liga players. So I don't see. He needs to deliver for me to be comfortable that we sign him. And I don't care how much he costs. I just want the best player that we can get. And I don't think we need to limit ourselves to 40 million. What I absolutely don't want is another Tell situation where we try before we buy, and we buy him even though he hasn't delivered.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm not saying that if we can get a better player, then obviously get a better player. I just think that the market's dry.
But that's all I've said. That's literally all I've said.
No, it's not.
That is literally all I've said.
I think Sean's challenging you on who. I think what Sean, tell me if I'm putting words in your mouth. I think Sean's challenging with say what you want, but there's got to be a solution. If it's not Luani, what is the solution out there in the market? That's what.
But if I give anyone any name, they'll say the same thing. Like, you know, what if we can't sign Ramos? Why are we going to sign Luani then? Because they're both sitting on the bench at PSG, but one will sign, one we can't sign. Like, it doesn't matter who you give; they'll just go, yeah, well, they're not going to come to us.
Comes off the bench. Ramos comes off the bench all the time, but he's playing. Yeah, he's second fiddle to Ousmane Dembele. Like, okay. But he still Ramos will get into so many teams, so many.
Exactly, but my point: if we name somebody, Victor Osimhen, well, why would he come? Because he's on these wages. Ivan Toney, yeah, but his wages. There's always an excuse. No matter who you give, there's an excuse.
It's an explanation. It's an explanation.
All right. Well, if Tottenham wanted to act like a big club, why don't they go get Ivan Toney?
Because he doesn't. If he was to leave the football club right now, he would sacrifice all of. He'd have to pay a massive tax bill, like dozens and dozens of millions.
That's not what we're talking about. If Tottenham wanted to, offer him the money, why wouldn't he come?
Because he's currently earning 400 grand a week, 500 grand a week, tax free in Saudi Arabia. Jordan Henderson did that, then he went and played for Ajax. Jordan Henderson came back by Ajax after 6 months. Yeah, he hadn't earned 50 million quid or whatever it is, and then has like a 25 million quid tax bill to pay. Listen, if Ivan Toney was in the Premier League right now, I'd say absolutely you could go and get Ivan Toney, 100%. I'm just saying the logic to me, I'd be gobsmacked. If we can get Ivan Toney, for sure, you go and get Ivan Toney. But Tottenham Hotspur has spent all the people that hate Daniel Levy have spent the last 3 years of my life telling me the biggest problem is not paying the salary. We've only just got above £200,000 a week and only 2 players are earning it. Mickey van der Ven is still earning 40 grand a week. Are you suggesting that we're going to sit there and go and pay him 400 grand a week or cover his tax bill? Or that he's just going to be a good Samaritan to come and help Tottenham out and pay 25 million quid back I'm
not saying that at all. But I'm saying every time we do name a player, there's always like, yeah, but he's not going to come. But why would because? Well, hold on. Then we will name you nobody other than players that are on our level. So we'll say Monteta, and you'll go, but he's only done it for a year and a half. So it doesn't matter who we give you.
I would take Monteta as well. 100%, I would take him. But I'm saying,
why don't we send Luani back and Monteta?
I don't make the argument that we should never have signed Solanke because he only did it for a year. If you're going to make that argument, then that same logic has to apply to other players that have only been doing it for a short term. And to another degree, Serhou Guirassy in exactly the same boat. He was 27 years old, playing in France, hadn't done anything. No one had fucking heard of him. He then goes to Stuttgart, smashes in some goals. I did a massive Wyscout review on him. I got it completely wrong. I said all the goals that he scores to me look like opportunity rather than carefully considered, class. It looks like he's stumbling into it rather than... Obviously, then he goes to Dortmund and scores 14 goals in the Champions League last season or whatever it was. 13 goals in 14 games or something like that, whatever it was. 11 goals in 12 games. So obviously I was wrong about Serhou Guirassy. But he's now 21 years old.
I agree with you, but doesn't this depend on what stage they are in their career? So for me, the issue I had with Solanke only having one good year was that we signed him at 26, 27, and we'd seen him for 8-9 years only have one good year. I think maybe it's slightly different if you see somebody that's 21, 22, and you've seen they got 8 goals that year, then 15, then 21. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think if they're on an upward trajectory, could that be slightly different to the seasoned pro who's only had one good year? Just for argument's sake.
Yeah, but listen. Yeah.
I don't know who that guy is, by the way. I don't know who that guy is. I'm just asking.
We don't know if Dominic Solanke was going to kick on this year. He's been. I don't know what's happened to him, right? But he had a relatively good year last year, in my opinion, for his first year in Tottenham Hotspur, playing in a system that he was asked to be the sacrificial lamb. The Ange-Postecoglou system asked the number 9 to often play the false role and drift out and pull players out of position. I said 1,000 times. So many of Brennan Johnson's output at the back post Johnson. So much of that was because of the work rate, the effort, and the selflessness of Dominic Solanke. He might have kicked on in a Thomas Frank system. If he was fully fit, he could already be on 8 goals. The whole system, we don't know, right? Because he hasn't played it. He's barely played a minute. Yeah, sure. And obviously, when he comes back, people are going to judge. If he comes back in January, given that he hasn't played a minute, people are going to expect him to be immediately scoring goals. And in reality, you should give him until March to be able to get to full fitness and to get up to the speed of playing in a Thomas Frank system. And then people are going to look back at the end of the season and go, he's only scored 3 goals, his other failed signing. I just think that's wildly unfair and unreasonable if you are not giving the exact same logic to other people and other places. And most of the time, people don't. They'll say one thing because it will fit their I won't call it an agenda, but it will fit a narrative. And then as soon as you go, well, hang on a second, what do you think about this player or that player? Or what did you say about this guy over here? And you'll find out that there's absolute hypocrisy in the logic. And that's my take on it. I'm not saying Dominic Solanke was the correct signing. I'm just saying that people don't apply the same logic to him as they do to other players that they now want. And Mateta, to a degree, is one such example.
I agree with what you're saying there. I do agree. But the thing that I would sort of caveat to it is I have seen more footballing ability from Mateta than I have from Dominic Solanke. The way he holds up the play, the way he's big, powerful, strong. I see a very good centre forward in Mateta, not just the goals, the way he plays. And I've never seen that in Solanke. Yes, last season or the season before we signed him, he was very good in front of goal or good numbers. But I haven't seen the footballing IQ of someone like a Mateta. Or I mean, there's loads out there when you kind of get into it. I wanted Openda before he went. Somebody like that. If you're active in the market rather than reactive, you can get not get who you want, but there's a lot better opportunities out there.
I would also say, James, quickly before I hand back to Savva and to Rain and to you, I'd just say that I think that people also just judge the individual and ignore the context of the environment. Like Tottenham Hotspur have been in a headwind for the last 18 months. Yes, we won the Europa League, but it wasn't a particularly strong environment to win it. But in the Premier League, where it's horrendously difficult and it's like, you either sink or swim, the reality is that a lot of teams that have players doing really well are in environments that have unbelievable momentum behind them. Chris Wood last season was playing under a Nuno system, scored 20 goals in the Premier League, but Nuno was a manager. And he never gets the credit for this, but he played his squad within the system in which he likes to play. But he played those players to their best strengths. He played them in positions that allowed them to utilise their skill sets. Crystal Palace have the wind in their sails. Community Shield, Oliver Glasner, fantastic manager, some great players. They managed to continue their momentum despite selling Elise, despite selling Eze, etc. And they managed to sort of kick on them with a bit of recruitment. The wind is in their sails. Bournemouth. Right, excelling until very recently, because the wind has been in their sails under Bill Foley and Iriola. Look at players that go to Manchester United, who for me are so similar to Tottenham Hotspur with the toxicity that surrounds their football club. How many players do Manchester United buy that end up being considered expensive flops and terrible players, and what a waste of fucking money? And then as soon as they leave on loan or permanent, they then get back to their trajectory that they were doing before. Look at Garnacho, right? He's keeping Jamie Gittins out of the team at Chelsea. Look at Onana, Bozo Onana. He's gone to Fenerbahce or Besiktas, wherever he's gone in Turkey. They're putting a shrine up for him. They love him so much. Look at Rasmus Højlund, right? Was doing bits at was it Atalanta? I forget where he was before. He's now gone back to Italy and he's back to his best. Look at Scott McTominay
tonight as well. 2 good goals tonight.
Right.
Well.
Look at Scott McTominay. Everyone thought he was a decent player, but he was flew under the radar a little bit at Manchester United. He goes to Napoli. They absolutely adore him. Like the same will happen with Joshua Zirkzee, by the way. The same happened with Anthony. It's this is not. You shouldn't just be judging the players unless you consider the environment in which they are operating. And the last 18 months at Tottenham, it has been poisonous for the players to do their best.
And I do. By the way, guys, I'm going to wrap up the show in about 3 or 4 minutes. Sean, I'll back you up on that. I think if a player comes into a really settled squad where everything's nice and everything's going well and they're winning most weeks and everyone's happy, I think that it's a lot easier, right? But Man United, for example, have been a bit of a shit show for years. Spurs, let's be brutally honest, for years we've been a bit of a shit show. And again, we won the Europa League, but as a club, we've just been a bit of a mess. It does beg the question, doesn't it? That again, this is why, for me, we need stability. This is why we need to stick with a manager, let him have transfer windows, let him bring in who he wants. And ultimately, this is all going to sit with Frank. Ultimately, whether or not we sign Kolo Muani is going to sit with 2 people, Thomas Frank and Kolo Muani. We're all talking as though Kolo Muani definitely wants to join Tottenham, right? Maybe he gets to the end of the season and says, sod that, that's a mess. Or maybe he says, I like what Thomas Frank is doing. So listen, I think it's too early to tell. It will be very interesting to have this conversation maybe in March, maybe when we've maybe, you know, see where we are in the Champions League. Maybe Muani goes on a goal scoring spree, 10 in 10 or something, and we all change our minds. But look, let me do some super chats. And look, I'm all for both sides of the argument. I think it's a really difficult one because Sean and I have done this to death, I think, on shows where it's just who is out there. I think this is the difficulty. The striker market is the worst. I think I've seen it since here you go. I'm going to make a statement. This is the worst striker market, or this is the worst strikers I've ever seen since I was born. There you go. So in the 43 years that I've lived, I don't remember an era where there was so few goal-scoring strikers across world football.
We don't develop nines anymore. We just don't develop nine. It's nobody wants to be a nine. Everybody wants to be an inside inverted winger. That's what they want to be. They want to be coming starting wide, cutting inside. Just on Solanke very quickly. I thought he played all right last season in a difficult season. It is unfortunate that he got an ankle niggle that's kept him out for 6 months, which is just mind blowing. On Richie, people have to remember, it's not just about money; it's about squad places. Richie has got a contract with us until 2027, and if we don't shift him, then we can buy another player. But then the manager has to decide: does Richie go into my Premier League or Champions League squad, or does this other player? And no manager is going to make that decision. They're just not going to buy the other player. So we need to get the right player in, but we need to get players out.
Yeah. I'll trust Frank with this. I'll trust him with this. He's been very good with his recruitment down the years. That's what I can judge him on. I'll trust him with this. We'll see, right? And obviously Muani. We're all taking it for granted that Muani would just say yes. Look, let me do some super chats, and then I'm going to wrap up the show. Big up to Andy Lester, who said, I asked for a performance and the result, and I got it. You did indeed. It was a very good performance, a very good result, and we move on to Slavia Prague on Tuesday night. Hopefully we keep it up. Big up to you. Big up to Something Wong in it. Big up to you. This is Cat Fun. Thank you very much for the super sticker. Really appreciate you, man. Thank you. We are Spurs TV. So panel, what players should be moved on in Jan? Oh gosh, I tell you what, I'm going to be really selfish and pretend because it's my show. I'm going to be the only one that answers because I need to end the show. Mate, there are many that need to be moved on. I think the difficulty you're going to have is moving them on in Jan. I think that's going to be your problem. I think more are going to move on in the summer. And I think a lot of them need to move on in the summer. A lot. A question for another day. Big up to Destiny, who's been a member for 11 months and said Bergvall needs to be coached. That he does and that he will. Absolutely. Destiny's come in again and said Ramos is another PSG reject like Muani Flower. I like Gonzalo Ramos. I think he made the wrong decision going to PSG. I think it hampered his career. But again, has it been too many years now that we don't know? Like a bit like Nkunku. Nkunku was a really good player. Came to Chelsea, loads of injuries, wrong system for him. Now I don't know. Big up to you, Destiny. Appreciate that. And the last one, thank you very much, is Aaron Ryder. We love Spurs. Big up to you, who's just put in a super sticker. So bloody chew. Guys, I'll give everyone one last sentence to out the show. James, anything you'd like to say?
No, the one thing I would say is I'm happy to be proven wrong, and I just say what I've seen. So what I've say is what I've seen so far. I want nothing more than Kolo Muani to score 30 goals this season, Odobert or whoever's playing on the wide, or Richarlison or whoever. Again, like we were saying earlier, I'm a Spurs fan. I don't follow players and have agendas for players.
Fair. Rain, anything you want to round off with?
Super performance yesterday, super result. Players look like they're linking up, which is what we absolutely need. We need, these players to start building relationships internally so that they can grind out results against the better teams, not just the Brentfords. I'm seeing green shoots from Frank. I just hope that it's gonna continue.
No, agreed. Shawnee, round us off.
Yeah, just thanks for letting me jump on and cook. a little bit. Didn't think I'd be having a midnight snack or whatever. And to Flower and Rain, Stinker and Hooked FC. Appreciate you all. See you later.
Well, if you're having a midnight
stick to
snack,
DJing, mate. Stick to DJing.
It's a good job you're not allergic to flour, isn't it? It's a good job if that's your snack. On that terrible joke. Listen, guys, thank you very much. Really appreciate it. As I said, Sean, I'm going to say this every day. I can tell Spurs have had a good week because the numbers compared to last week are absolutely atrocious. Big up, everyone. I'm going to send you over to the Spurs diehards who are live. I'll send you over there right now. And tomorrow, the Spurs 5 are on at 8 p.m. If anyone cares, at 6:30, James Maddison is the guest on Monday Night Football. So we might get a little bit of insight into him and Frank and stuff like that. So that'll be a good watch. Take care. Much love. And as always, come on, you Spurs.